Yibambe. My name is Matty, and you're listening to No Nerds Were Harmed, a podcast about movies, comics, games, and all things nerdy. I'm here with my co-host, Tyler.
What's up?
I'm also here with our producer, Sam.
Hello.
Tyler, let everybody know what we have in store for them today.
We are talking Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, or Black Panther 2, whatever you'd rather see it as.
Yep. We're going to have nerd news for you guys. We're talking Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, like Tyler said. We got a spoiler-free and spoiler-filled area. We're going to be breaking down scene by scene. We're also going to have our read, play, watch, and let you know what's going on in the next episode. So we're going to start off with our nerd news. I know we're both going to mention this because this is a heavy thing. We had a passing of one of the greatest Batmans ever.
My Batman.
Yep. Mr. Kevin Conroy.
True. 66, intestinal cancer.
Intestinal.
Yeah, I looked it up today because at first it wasn't really reporting on
Yeah.
it, but then I looked it up and it said intestinal cancer, so which sucks. Kevin Conroy, like, not only was he the best Batman for 30 years, he was in, if you've seen an animated Batman movie, chances are he voiced it.
Yeah.
If you played any of the Arkham games, he voiced it. Batman the Animated Series, Justice League, the Superman show. If Batman showed up in something that wasn't live action, chances are Kevin Conroy was the guy behind it.
Yeah.
Probably undisputed the best Batman.
Yeah.
That encompassed Bruce Wayne, Batman. I mean, the guy played it for 30 years.
He
Not
did.
only that, a lot of people don't know he was a gay man. The fact that a gay man played the most masculine... brooding
just,
playboy character of all time for 30 years in a time when, like, being gay wasn't as acceptable back in the 90s when Batman the Animated Series started is awesome.
This
like,
is actually brand new information.
see, a lot of people
right
don't
now.
know this, and that's
no idea.
What I love about this is there's so many people who are homophobic who are Batman fans that find this out and just, like, they don't know what to do because now they have
torn,
their
okay.
Batman who is undisputed. Again, a lot of people think of Kevin Conroy, that voice. Again, I pitched to you, I wanted to hire Kevin Conroy to introduce our podcast at one time. It's like shit like that where you're kicking yourself like, fuck, we should have just did this. We should have met him when we could, because he's this iconic figure that, again, was huge in the gay community. He did a bunch of stuff for AIDS and gay rights because he had a lot of friends who he lost through the AIDS pandemic back in like the 90s and stuff in Hollywood. So it's just, you don't see, and he was big. He was, I think he was a big part of that new like line they're doing with DC Comics, the like LGBTQ thing. He was a big front runner on that because, again, he's been a pretty openly gay man in a time when he couldn't be playing fucking Batman. Dude.
My mind is blown.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I love it.
And so again, it's just more reasons to fucking love Kevin
Love him.
Conroy.
I was going to say more
You know,
reasons to
you-
respect and love him.
And you had just mentioned all these different things that he provided his voice for. I don't think I can read Batman without hearing his voice as Batman.
Correct.
Like he is the voice of Batman.
Yep.
And he will always be the voice of Batman. I just, I heard the news that morning, and I stopped working. I was like, I need to double check this. I need to know if this is true, and it was. And I thought about it while I was at work, and I got home and I was watching all these videos and interviews with him, and I cried. I wept. I was like, this is crazy news. This is a man that I never thought impacted me as much as he did throughout my entire life.
Yeah,
watching
literally.
Watching the animated series when I was, 3, 4, 5, it just blows my mind. And I just hope that, Kevin Conroy in passing knows what he did for the world.
Sure.
Because it's
there's
crazy.
Countless stories of him and like him being at places where kids recognize him and they kind of think he's Batman but don't know because he's a voice actor. There was a story that because Kevin Conroy's, I think it's his brother, works for DC, and he's been tweeting out a bunch of stories of like he's been saying like share your stories that you had with Kevin, and he's been retweeting them. And the one that like stuck out was these kids were kind of talking if he's Batman. And they walked up to him and said, "Are you Batman?" And he said, "No, I'm not." And they kind of said, "Oh, okay," and walked away. And then after a minute, he walked back up to him and said in the Batman voice, "I'm vengeance." And it's like shit like that where he's like, and then they all kind of freaked out.
So
and it's like,
cool.
You know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
just like that guy. And like Mark Hamill speaks the highest of him.
yeah.
Where he's even on record where he's like, when they call me for Batman projects to do Joker, my first question is Kevin doing it? Because if Kevin's doing it, then I'm in. I don't have to read the script. I don't have to do anything. If Kevin's going to do it, He's my Batman. I will do anything that Kevin does. So it's like shit like that. It's just like it hits home because he's, again, 30 years of this shit, and he was still doing it. He was still doing the Arkham games. He was still doing all this shit that we know and see Batman up. I've even seen pushes on Twitter and social media of like they should retire the old style of Batman, that animated series look of Batman. They like were like, you should retire it as this thing of like, that was Conroy's Batman. Yeah. Which is kind of cool. It's kind of a cool
like retiring
idea.
The number of
of a jersey. It's just like you can draw Batman or create him in so many different ways, but this Batman that we know that shows up in all the Justice League, that same kind of iconic look, maybe we retire to kind of show respects to the man. So it's cool. It's super sad. But again, fucking legacy, dude.
With heavy heart, we say rest in peace, Kevin Conroy.
Absolutely. Big news since we've last had an episode. News some would say I've been dreaming of for a long time.
Okay.
DC has someone else in charge now.
Ah, yes.
James Gunn.
James Gunn
Received the call and took the call. This excites me. It's one of those things I don't think the normal person realizes like what that means to take over something like this. It's not like he's just directing a movie.
Yeah.
And that's the scary thing is like everyone thinks, oh, James Gunn, he's the comic guy. Slam dunk. It's a done deal. Everything's fixed. It's not like that.
Yeah, we spoke a little bit about this. Because I was excited.
I'm very excited now. But again, that's such a big undertaking. He's not just making one movie. He's trying to plan out the entire universe. Now he's trying to do this the right way. When they've done everything to like burn this shit down for the past 10 years. Nevertheless, though, talk about not a bad pick to have in the driver's seat.
No, not at all.
The ship, because again, out of everyone, he's the most public dude to get this job. When Kevin Feige becomes the main Marvel guy, no one knows who the fuck Kevin Feige is. Don't. Once he puts out a banger, everyone knows who Kevin Feige is. Everyone knows who the fuck James Gunn is, and a lot of people like James Gunn. He comes in and doesn't deliver, he's going to take a harder hit than a lot of normal, no-name, so to say, leaders would have taken. So the fact he accepted all this, he knows that risk, which is what kind of makes me excited because it clearly, he had his gig with Marvel and everything. He says that he talked to Kevin Feige about it, and he was like the first person that he reported to.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Which is pretty cool. And Kevin Feige even was like, yo, he's got a lot of work to do on Guardians, but after that, I'll be the first in line to see his movies, that kind of thing. Like, I can only pray that DC's going in the better direction. You know what I mean? Like this is what I wanted. I wanted to get it blown up.
We've said it numerous times. We want the best for DC.
Correct.
So hopefully James can do that.
Is the answer.
I told Matty, I'm like, at least he is an actual fan of comic books and of these characters. So at least you're going to get a little bit more love and heart into this versus let's just make a fucking movie so we could try to beat Marvel.
I agree. Now, I do think he's going to try to Band-Aid a lot of shit where they're not just going to blow everything up like I really want them to do and just kind of start over and just fresh.
Scrap it.
I really would like them. There's no way. There's just too much shit involved and too much money and assets like already at play. Mm-hmm. But like James Gunn, I feel is maybe the right guy to like apply these Band-Aids.
Maybe he'll be able to put them in the right places.
Correct, where it's not as bad. Or like he reinvented Suicide Squad, like no one saw them taking Suicide Squad. All the same guys were returned, and then he like kills them off in the first minute. It's like, JK, by the way, is a totally different movie. It's like shit like that. Maybe DC needs a little bit of that. So I'm excited. We'll be watching and
absolutely
seeing what happens with James Gunn, man.
Yeah, I'm stoked for it. I think this is exciting news. So we'll keep everybody posted on what's going to be the future of DC. To piggyback off of our last episode, I thought that you'd be very excited to hear this if you haven't heard this yet. So I had informed everybody that I read the Mirror Moon comic book, Nightmare Before Christmas, and there is a new comic book coming out based off Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, I did not know this.
So this is called The Nightmare Before Christmas, The Battle for Pumpkin King. This is going to be a 5-issue series, and it is what happened to turn two best friends into rivals. This is a prequel between Oogie Boogie and Jack Skellington.
That's kind of cool.
So it goes into those lines of they were best friends.
Yeah.
Well, what the fuck happened?
Yeah. So like every fucking villain superhero story.
Yeah.
Right.
But
it's cool.
It's gonna be a 5-issue run, and it comes out March 2023. So
interesting.
In a few months, less than a year now.
Josh's birthday.
Yes, and the graphic novel will be available by October of 2023.
Cool. That's what I'll be getting.
So yeah.
No, that's cool. I'll be definitely checking that out.
I read this and I was like, oh shit, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. Piggybacking off of maybe some DC news, The first bit of news is Liam Hemsworth is the new Witcher.
Yeah.
Which kind of raises a question. What the fuck's Henry Cavill doing?
Well,
I think we know.
yes.
Homeboy's coming back as Superman.
He is.
You know what I mean? And I think, again, I don't like a lot of things about DC. The one thing I do love is Henry Cavill Superman.
That's Superman, yeah.
I love
Man
it.
of Steel
He's
was
the one that
a
made me
great
actually
movie.
like Superman and realize, like, oh, this is a character I can actually fuck with after years of reading this comic and just hating all of it.
It's a good standalone movie,
So,
too.
oh, yeah, Man of Steel is
fantastic.
probably one of the only things.
This has got to
good
break
that
your
comes out
heart,
of
though,
it.
as well, because I remember a few episodes
Yes.
ago you were saying that you loved him as Geralt. Or
You do,
yeah.
but it's one of those things where, like, if he's going to come back and do Superman, and I don't think he's coming back and doing Superman unless he likes what they're pitching him. Because he was firm on, like, you guys fucked me. You kind of dragged my name through the mud and were blaming me for a bunch of shit that clearly we see now was all DC's problem.
Yeah.
And they kind of had a scapegoat of, like, well, Henry's doing this, Henry's doing that. And it's like, dude, that's not the problem at all. You guys are fucking everything around and using him. The fact he's coming back, he had to have had a conversation of, like, A, I'm getting paid. B, the story is going somewhere I want to go as a fan and as a like thing of character, or else he's just going to stay as Geralt, which is a character he fucking loved. He made that very clear.
I don't know why they didn't try to make it work between them both.
And all that. Hey, whatever it is.
I mean, I don't know the back ends of the film world, but I'm like, why couldn't you just make everybody happy?
No idea, but I'm pumped because this should mean we're going to get Superman because he doesn't turn down a big successful franchise like that and something he actually loved doing. Yeah. Unless it's like, yo, we're about to fucking pipeline Superman right back into this shit and fix all of that. So, and again, you can't have as much as I don't like Superman and I love Batman. Like, if you don't have Superman, you don't really have the Justice League. You don't have a lot of the monumental things you need for DC. They stem from fucking Superman. Whether you like him or not, they do. He's one of those pillars that he's the guy.
If James Gunn had to bring somebody back for the future of this franchise with Henry Cavill, would you rather Zack Snyder come back and bring back that line or that story that he's he brought before, or would you rather have Ben Affleck back as Batman?
Ben Affleck back as Batman. I think a lot of and as much as I fucking love Robert Pattinson. I love what Matt Reeves is doing. But if you take what they're doing there and you plug Ben Affleck Batman into that, you fix a lot of shit, dude.
I think I would, from that question,
general.
I was saying that back into that universe, we'd still be keeping the Matt Reeves Pattinson.
But it's still, I'm in the camp of we cannot keep having 7 different Batman.
Okay.
If we're going to be going down this road of now like doing that
one.
Marvel shit where we're really connecting everything and really getting this train on one thing, it's sad, but like we cannot have fucking 4 Jokers, 3 Batmans, and all this shit. We need to start making this stuff all congruent. Which
think for moviegoers it's necessary. Down. Yeah, I think for moviegoers it's necessary, but for me, like I read Batman and I also read Detective Comics, and they're 2 completely different Batmans. Yeah. They don't coincide within the same universe. They're their own separate things.
Yeah.
And that's just something that I've always learned to do.
Yeah.
But I guess I could see it as like a moviegoer audience.
But that does work, again, and when you're talking comics, that works because, like, comics aren't getting sold at the rate of, like, movies and money that return that, like, movies are getting billions of dollars where, like, you're kind of confusing and diluting your own product.
Yeah.
Because when you put out one Batman where, say, this doesn't work, this certain thing, but then you do the other Batman and that does that really well, people are always going to be pitting your own Batman against each other. And that's not what you want to do. You want to have one cohesive product with one Iron Man, one Captain America, because you don't get to compare that shit to anything else. You know what I mean? So I think that's the fight DC's really going to have to fucking figure it out. But I think, like, honestly, I forget so often, but, like, the reason Man of Steel is so good and the reason I think original shit is so good is, like, Christopher Nolan still had his hand in that shit, dude.
Yeah, it was still sim copy or whatever the hell is fucking.
You know what I mean? Like he was clear about being like, I don't want to direct this shit, but like he still had a heavy involvement in Man of Steel, which is like why I feel like that shit works. So like I'm in the campaign of like bring fucking Jonathan and Christopher back, not to direct, but like bring those motherfuckers back to be like, hey, we're trying to make a darker kind of Avengers Marvel type thing. What they're doing. but we've gone off the fucking rails. Like, you guys are pretty damn good at what you do. Can you maybe help us make a decent Justice League movie? You know what I mean? So that's where my camp is.
You're hearing it here, James Gunn. Please.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, maybe call Christopher and Jonathan. Like, I may be one. We're gonna get a lot of people like, oh, fucking Dark Knight kid. Yes, I'm that kid, and I think this would help DCU.
Yeah.
Because they dropped the E too. They're just going to DCU. They dropped the E, which is awesome. Because how long have we been like, what the fuck? This is so dumb. We have the MCU. Why don't we just have the DCU? So again, DCU, new DC, new him. Let's get Jonathan and Christopher a call, man. Fuck it, dude.
On the realm of Warner Brothers and DC, this is not DC, however, this goes to Warner Brothers. They're interested in making more Harry Potter movies.
I saw that.
I don't know how I feel about this. We have a resident Harry Potter fan here, though, who's read all the books and sucks the Harry Potter cock, so...
I do. If they made a Cursed Child, I'd be all about that, because Cursed Child's fucking amazing. I really hope they bring the play here.
A lot of people hate the book, but...
I loved the book.
From what you told me about the book, I want to read that shit because it involves time travel.
Yeah,
so.
It's awesome. I like it. I don't know what the fuck people are talking about, but if they do a movie on that, sure.
I mean,
but yeah, how would you do that without?
They want to get
redoing everything.
Yeah,
and it's like,
they need to get J.K. Rowling on board, is what they said.
Yeah, they said that too, but they're begging to get rid of her too because she's just a fucking lightning rod for getting canceled, and like half the cast fucking hate her anyways. So like.
But it's hard to do Harry Potter without the person who fucking wrote it.
Yeah, it is. But they also did Obi-Wan without George Lucas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they have ways of figuring this shit out. And again, I was a fan of Obi-Wan, so it's like
that Fantastic Beasts series isn't very successful though.
Yeah,
and that's
again,
J.K. Rowling as well. So,
but again, that's why they want to take someone like Daniel Radcliffe and be like, "Hey, you're older now. Let's fucking use you because you did your thing just like they did Obi-Wan." So it's like it's there. They just have to figure out the story they really want to tell in a original way because. Harry Potter's so successful because that shit was so original when we were young.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing else like that shit. You know what I mean? Like, so they need to tap into that just like Star Wars does and is now fucking, like, kind of abusing and doing it. But, like, Harry Potter can do it. Like, they got a lot of juice to squeeze.
Side note on that, you just brought that up real fast.
Yeah.
Have you watched Andor?
I have not. It's on, like, the highest of my list.
I heard it's very good
because I hear it's, like, the best Star Wars
Lori from the comic. Every time I go to the comic book store, Lori's like, "Did you watch it yet? Did you watch it?" I'm like, "What?
Yeah,
no, I haven't." She's like, "What the fuck?
Old
what are you
school
doing?"
Star Wars, like, the shit I like is, like, very...
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Yes. What were you saying, Sam? I'm sorry. I need to get that
No,
out.
for Harry Potter, it's like if they left the 8 films alone, but they went into, like... better prequel shit, not the Fantastic Beasts, because for a Harry Potter fan, I'm not into those movies either. But if they went into like Snape and Albus and everything at the beginning when they started Hogwarts and when
well, I mean, they did go to Albus
a little bit, but not like when he meets all of them. Like when he, even if they touch upon like Lily and James and all of them going to Hogwarts and how all of them come to know each other, that would be cool. Or if they went afterwards and did stuff with the kids, too, like do Cursed Child, and then if you want to make more stories off of what happens, go on, Potter's kids' adventures, fucking Ron's kids. They all have kids together.
Yeah,
you could continue the saga from there. It's not going to be about Voldemort, but at least it's something new, and it involves Daniel Radcliffe, so everybody will be happy.
Yeah.
EA Gaming Sports, so they do like Madden
Sims.
and all that shit. Yeah, they just signed a contract with Marvel Games to do a series of games that are releasing original stories. And the first game they're starting with is an Iron Man game. There's no timetable, there's no other mention, but it's multiple projects that they've signed a deal with to produce original stories. They were big on that, so that's kind of interesting just to see. Like, all right, we're gonna get out of this fucking MCU. Same old, like video games. We can do whatever we want kind of thing. And they're starting with Iron Man. So it's cool. And it's just like EA Sports. A lot of people hate EA because of like the way they abuse loot boxes and microtransactions and kind of shit like that. They're very shady. But at the same time, it's a legit gaming company, which means the chances of this actually like coming to fruition are pretty high. So again, I'm cool with more superhero video games. They've been way too stingy with properties for too long, being worried about superhero video games, where I think video games are a medium where superhero lore and stories could absolutely thrive way farther than they can in movies, and like it's where you can actually make comic moments happen in that cinematic feel like you can't quite pull off in a movie without breaking that believability.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a win for superhero. Again, they just need to be. For years, I've been saying they need to make more superhero video games. So this is just a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking at it in terms of like DC's trying to catch up to Marvel as far as movies go, Marvel is kind of behind from what it seems in games. Yeah. They're trying to catch up to DC in a way.
And Marvel has, and that's the thing too, is like DC puts out really good games, and then but at the same time too, DC's been developing Superman games for fucking like 15 years, and they've never released one. And
yeah,
it's like,
true. Yeah.
We've all wanted an open world. They've even put out footage of the game, and it looks great, and it's just, it never hits that final mark. And it's so annoying, because it's like, that would be everyone would want to run.
And then I'm just,
Superman,
I've watched you play your games, and I've watched you play for the time that you were able to do Gotham Knights. You're on this train of, we need the fucking turtles in an overworld.
Yeah, that's. I mean, don't get me started on that.
I don't play games, but I'm like, dude, I can't agree more. That shit would be awesome.
Gotham Knights proved they need a turtles,
they
like
fucking
actual,
do, man.
not arcade style, but like an adult AAA type game. But yeah, it's the same kind of concept. It's just, thank God Marvel, and Marvel's the one taking the leaps, because they're the bigger property and know what the fuck they're doing with their property.
Yeah, more money.
You've seen the Avengers game, which fucking sucked, but still, they're taking swings. They're missing on some of them, but they also put out Marvel Spider-Man, and they're putting out a new Wolverine game. So they're taking giant steps.
Good. So. Good for them. I'm not sure if you had this in yours. However, The Last of Us, the show. So this popped up. This is, the last time we had informed everybody about the trailer, it just said 2023. It didn't have a date, didn't have any episodes. All it says was 2023. The Last of Us has been confirmed. They are going to have 9 episodes in the series, or in the first season. I'm not sure what this is yet, and it's going to be January 15th will it be shown.
Cool.
And that'll be on HBO. That'll also be on HBO Max the next day, I believe.
Another movie that's coming to theaters that we've talked about on this podcast is the Winnie the Pooh horror movie.
Oh, is it?
It's coming to theaters for one day.
Holy fuck.
February 15th. Limited release in select theaters for one day. February 15th, you can go see the Winnie the Pooh horror movie.
What the fuck? Yep. One fucking day.
One day. See it the day after Valentine's Day.
Sam, February 15th. What day is it? What day of the week is that?
But online it says select theaters, but one day only.
It is a Wednesday.
What the fuck?
It is a Wednesday.
So if you want to see it, go see it in theaters.
Dude.
Random as hell.
Well, cool.
That just also shows like their marketing's working, because they're at a point where they're like, we could put this into theaters and probably make some money. Like, instead of just releasing it on streaming, which I'm sure was the plan from the get-go. So, again, it's building steam. As crazy and, like, shitty as it looks, it's building more and more steam as the weeks go by. So, February 15th, man.
It's one of those ideas that you're like, it's just so wild. I need to fucking see it.
Yep.
Yep. I mean, they fucking got my attention, and now they got me pissed that I can only see it for one day in theaters. I mean, I know I'm eventually going to be able to watch it on my TV, but
still, it's that that urgency.
Dwayne Johnson posted about a movie. Since it's Christmas time, he's already doing pre-production on a new movie. It's called Red One. This is going to have Dwayne Johnson and Chris Evans in it, and he explained that it's basically like Hobbs from Fast and Furious meets Miracle on 34th Street. And I'm like, all right, whatever.
Of course.
I mean, Dwayne Johnson is super fucking sexy, and I love the dude, but I know what to expect from his movies, and if I'm getting a Christmas movie with the ass kicking, I'm cool with it, man. This also is going to have Kiernan Shipka, who was from the Sabrina the Teenage Witch show, as well as Lucy Liu, who we know from like Charlie's Angels,
Kill Bill,
and like I said, Chris Evans is going to be with this as well. And that's called Red One, and it's going to be, I'm assuming, coming out next holiday season. This will be a Prime movie.
Nice. A little more video game news. Mm-hmm. The co-founder of the Batman Arkham Studios just left Rocksteady to take a venture on a different project. Doesn't say what it is, but it's one of those things where it's like, it's interesting.
Has he been in there for a while?
Yeah, he's been. Okay. He was the co-founder and oversaw all 3 Arkham games from the Rocksteady version. So Rocksteady didn't do Arkham Origins or the new Gotham Knights, but it's just one of those things, like, he kind of brought that style of gaming to the forefront, which makes me think, like, he's got another game he really wants to do that Rocksteady's not letting him do, or some property's not letting him do, so he's going to walk and do it on his own. So it's just something to keep an eye on, because you just never know. A lot of like really big games start from like dudes from juggernaut companies that end up like leaving. That's how it all starts. Some guy leaves from Blizzard or Activision, and then they go start some no-name company and create the next big thing. So I'm excited to see what comes of it.
Well, fuck yeah, good luck to him.
Yep.
Some trailers.
Awesome.
So we have a trailer for the movie that we had talked about before, where Brendan Fraser got his standing ovation. Got the trailer for The Whale.
Yeah, it was like a little teaser trailer.
It was, because I remember people, or like the headlines for this, or the captions for this, were saying a very emotional or teaser trailer for it. I'm like, man, there wasn't really much into this trailer. I mean, you could see some of the cinematography that's going to come up. You get to finally see some video of Brendan Fraser. I'm not sure. I can't remember if we actually see Sadie Sink or not, but I know we...
I think you see her once.
Okay. But yeah, it's a story about a man who's extremely obese, and he tries to reconnect with his teenage daughter.
Yeah. Darren Aronofsky is an artist. He's not just a director. He's kind of a crazy person. Like, he's the movie Pi and shit like that. I mean, look at fucking Requiem for a Dream.
Yes, I was going to say,
Black Swan.
For some people, yep. Good.
All these
Black
movies,
Swan, Wrestler, yep.
He really taps into like the dark side of your psyche. And like if you look at his first like student film Pi, which you can still see, it's like a crazy movie, but a lot of, I believe, we talked about this in college, a lot of the like crazy, it's about a guy that falls obsessed with the number pi, 3.14 or 5, whatever the fucking number of pi is. He becomes obsessed with it and like rules his life. But a lot of the journals that he reads on screen were like Darren Aronofsky's real journals. And like you see how this guy's mind like fucking works, and he's kind of like, he's in his head. Yeah. He's in his head a lot. So when you see these, but he's like he knows how to take like that darkness that's in everybody's head and then throw it on screen so you all can like experience it together. Like, if you've seen Requiem for a Dream, like that shit sticks with you.
Yeah, it does.
If you've seen Black Swan, there's parts of that movie that fucking kind of stick with you.
Yeah.
This doesn't look like it's in as dark of a vein, but it's like that dude's a fucking like master artist at what he does. So like any story he wants to tell me, like I'm there. Whatever it is, I'm there.
One of the easier films for him that I've watched, like I said just a few moments ago, was The Wrestler.
Yes,
so The Wrestler is one of the it's one of the easier films to follow.
Still very heavy though.
It is very, and if it follows that, I'm cool with that. I don't need something as crazy as like
and I don't think this gives off any impression of like we're gonna be Black Swan. It's gonna be this crazy dark adventure like Mother. I think he did Mother too.
Yes, he did do Mother.
It's like, it's not like that. This seems like it's a straightforward, more heartful story that he wants to tell. But again, when you're bringing that kind of craftsmanship to a movie and you get like Brendan Fraser and that kind of talent, like it's going to be heavy. Yeah. It's going to be a heavy movie.
That comes out December 9th. The other movie I want to talk about, or other trailer I want to talk about, is something we've already talked about before and something we will definitely be covering, is Avatar: The Way of Water.
Yeah, dude, water looks good.
Dude, this trailer is
looks fucking good, dude.
Incredible, man. So we just saw it for when we went and saw Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. we're going with the trailers, and Zosha and Amelia were with us as well. Zosha sat next to me, and after every trailer, I'm like, are we going to go see that? Like I said, we saw Quantumania, and I was like, you want to go see that? And she goes, nah, I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
But Way of Water comes out, and she's just like, we're going to see that. I didn't even have to ask her. She goes, we're going to see that, right?
I love James Cameron.
Amelia was like, we're going back there, right?
I love James Cameron, like, trailers, because he's very much like, I don't really need to tell you what this fucking movie's about. I'm just going to show you some shit, and your mind's going to be like, well, I want to see what that's like. That looked beautiful. And that's what this movie is. Like, you can tell there's that conflict of the avatars and the machines, like the first one and all that shit. But overall, there's not much that gets told in this trailer other than, like, hey, there's going to be big fights again, and we're in water, and there's new characters. But it's like,
there's another tribe out there.
It's the fucking visuals that you're like, well, I want to see that. Like, so, and that's what I love about James Cameron, because that's what he tells us. He's like, I don't give a fuck what you think about how long a movie should be. I don't give a fuck how long you think I should put out a movie. The fact it took me 10 years to do this, eat a dick, dude. I don't care, because you're going to sit down and watch this movie, and you're going to enjoy it. And then we all do, and we're like, Jesus Christ, James Cameron's the best director of all time. And this happens every fucking 10, 15 years with this guy. It's so, I'm pumped, man.
I want to really... The trailer looks great. This comes out for people. This is December 16th, so we will be covering this. We'll be doing a scene by scene for this. I really want to know what Stephen Lang, because I didn't know Stephen Lang was coming back for this movie.
And I loved him in the. I love Stephen Lang in general.
Shit, I'm like, he's coming back.
He's my Cable,
and I want to know. Oh, he's be good. I also want to know who Kate Winslet plays.
Yeah.
I know she had like broke the record for holding breath and shit. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, I want to see what is her character. I want to. There's so much like. So I feel like I could piece this movie together through the trailer, but then I'm like, wait. I haven't seen.
You still don't know what
so many characters.
You look at like Avatar 1, and it's like even when you sit down and talk about it, like I could tell you what that movie's about, but like you really don't know what the fuck that movie's about until you watch it. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of that movie that you're like, yeah, it's about this, but like really, it's you watch it for this, and that. You know what I mean? And that's the beauty of Avatar.
Yeah, that's December 16th, so we'll have an episode out for you guys. We'll let you guys. We'll keep you up to date with that.
Gears of War. Coming to Netflix, and instantly the fucking internet went on fire and casted fucking Phoenix right away. The main character, everyone casted him. They reached out to none other than Dave Bautista.
How do you feel about this?
Okay, so right away when I heard this, I was like, he's perfect. I was like, actually, I could see Bautista more like Dom, which he's from the games. The thing is with the games, like he looks identical to what those soldiers look like. They all are giant fucking wrestler football type men. They're just giant specimens of people, but they have like normal personalities and stuff, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They're just everybody in the armies are just fucking these jacked fucking soldiers. And I was like, Bautista looks just like it, but like, is he Phoenix? Like Marcus Phoenix is up there with fucking Kratos, with Witcher, Geralt, with fucking Master Chief. Marcus Phoenix is that dude.
Okay.
And it wasn't until I saw Dave Bautista himself tweet out a video on Twitter, and it's a video he shot, very high production, on a whim once everyone started casting him, and the quote was like, "I've made this easy for you, Netflix, here you go." And it was a video of him opening this case, and it's the fucking power armor from Gears of, like legit, not like cosplay bullshit, like this motherfucker either has been sitting on this shit or had this made, and it's legit fucking Gears of War armor. And he suits up, and he's like, it's about fucking time. And he kind of has, like, this Marcus Phoenix delivery. And in that moment, I was like, there is no other person on this world that should play Marcus Phoenix than Dave Bautista. Because it shows, like, it's like the reason Witcher and Geralt is so good with Henry is he's a fan of the games. Mm-hmm. He knows the character he wants to give you. You can tell Bautista has played these games. This isn't just a casting like they were like, hey, man, this is good publicity.
This would be a passion project.
You can tell he was like, I've been waiting for years for this shit. Like, I was born to play this. Let's go. And I hope it will be amazing. If they get him as Phoenix, he will break the fucking internet. But again, this can't be a Halo. They can't give us some new like, bullshit Gears of War.
Do you hope they stick to the
They game? Almost need to if they're gonna bring like Phoenix and shit. Like, because there's a lot of like Gears of War is very cutthroat. Where like this isn't all about happy. The heroes, every hero makes it at the end of the day. Like this is that was one of the games I remember playing as a kid in junior high school, and like putting down the controller and like having that moment of like, this shit's serious and heavy. Like, this isn't a feel-good, like, I beat the level, but, like, this is adult. You know what I mean? And, like, that's the beauty of Gears of War is, like, it's a fucking ugly world because that's what war is. War is fucking hell, but it's about, like, do you want to go see your family at the end of the day? You know? And if they try to give us some new bullshit, it's not going to work. If they just give us the fucking game 1 and 2, like, it will make so much fucking money. It will be watched. It'll be the most watched show on Netflix.
Yeah, and I'd like to watch it. It was the same reason for Halo. Like, I never played the games, but I wanted to watch the show, but then I heard that the show wasn't very good, so I was like, well, fuck it, I'm not going to watch it then.
Yep.
So I hope they do follow the games.
Yep.
Some streaming news. So we have some few things that are coming out. One of them comes out today, so Santa Claus is today. I'm excited for this show. I'm stoked for this, as well as this being the first new piece of Christmas material to watch. You just walk through my house, you know that we're celebrating Christmas,
you guys
right?
make me sick.
Eat shit, man. We fucking love Christmas. But so Santa...
As I'm in a Christmas
shirt. As you're over there in like a fucking Christmas blanket and shirt. Jesus Christ.
Come at me.
So Santa Claus comes out today. Tomorrow, everyone will be able to watch A Christmas Story Christmas on HBO Max the 17th tomorrow. And then at the end of this week, on the 18th, we got Disenchanted, which I'm fucking stoked for. I believe we're going to be watching that for movie night.
Hell yeah.
They got Mickey, the Story of Mickey Mouse documentary coming out as well. And then on Paramount, they got Blue's Big City Adventure.
Is that like Blue's Clues?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is
The Return of Steve.
Yes. Steve, Joe, and
Josh.
Josh are all in
fucking
the movie.
Avengers of Blue's Clues.
Fuck
It
yeah.
is. It's more of the No Way Home of Blue's Clues.
Okay. Jesus Christ.
But yeah, we're probably gonna end up watching that this weekend as well.
Interesting. I have one last casting news.
Okay.
Rumor is Daniel Kaluuya was cast in this Across the Spideyverse as Spider-Punk.
Spider-Punk.
Yeah, which is one of my favorite Spider-Man.
I picked up the first issue and I was kind of iffy on it, but I didn't know what the hell was
I'm way
going
more
on.
into like his character design and shit like that.
Okay.
Like it's not like I was like I'm into the character. Like I did not get into that, but I've always loved Spider-Punk's design.
His look is
oh
yeah. That's why I picked up the comic.
Correct.
I was like, oh, look at this. This looks
Correct.
cool.
So again, cool. I love him. So
Yeah.
great actor. Nope. We all know.
Yeah.
So, and it kind of ties into Black Panther. He's not in the new one, but he
Yes.
was in Black Panther 1. So
Fucking spoiler, man. He
Yeah.
could have been in the new one.
yeah. Oh, I guess. Sorry.
Calm down.
No.
Well, that was news.
I
That's why he did know.
I thought I was the fucking spoiler guy. Come on, man.
Yeah. If that's the worst spoiler I give you, you're lucky.
My last piece of nerd news is our transition into Wakanda Forever as well. Yahoo just did an interview with Ryan Coogler, and he was talking about how he had to learn to swim for Wakanda Forever. He did not
really?
know.
Nice.
His quote is that cameras in the water, actors in the water, I got to get my ass in the water too. So he learned how to do this. I guess there was actually a few actors that didn't know how to swim.
Yeah.
Angela Bassett had no idea how to swim. Our main actor who plays Namor, the water guy, Tina Huerta, had no idea how to swim.
That's crazy too.
So he had to learn how to swim for the role. So Ryan Coogler was like, I better get my ass some swimming lessons. So
Look what millions of dollars can do for you,
Yep.
dude. Get you learn how to swim in no time.
But I thought that was a fun little
No,
piece
it is
that
cool.
I just read this morning. So I was like, cool.
Considering it's a very heavy water movie.
It is. With that being said, we're getting right into Black Panther. And we're going to start by just mentioning a little bit about Black Panther 1 that came out in 2018. I know we had spoken just a little bit about this. You know, we like the movie.
Yeah, I
We're
really
not-
like Black Panther.
We're not
1.
like crazy, like this is the best fucking Marvel movie ever, but we like it.
I thought it was very, very good. For the time it came out,
Oh,
it
yeah.
like held up with the best of them when they came
Yeah.
out, where I was like, holy shit, that was like, that hit you in the chest. I was like, Black Panther's a fucking banger, dude.
I had seen
Great
it-
villain, great movie. They weren't shoving anything down your throat.
No.
They weren't trying to connect all these fucking universes and all this shit. It was like a true, we're going to give you a Black Panther movie. And I fucking love Black Panther 1. It's great.
So my first watch the first time I'd watched it, I enjoyed it, and I was like, okay, it's good, but I don't think it's as good as everyone's saying. And then I watched it recently, so it's been fucking 3 years
holds
since I
up.
watched it, and I was like, oh wow, I'm like, this movie's really
It
good.
slaps, dude.
So I actually liked it more the second time. That's usually how it is anyways. I watch a movie a second time, I'm like, okay, yeah, now I see what people are talking about. But this is directed by Ryan Coogler. He directed Fruitvale Station. He directed the first Creed film.
Yeah.
He's buddies with Michael B. Jordan.
Yep, obviously.
That's why you brought him in for Black Panther as well. So Black Panther, the first film, has a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes. It has a 79 with the audience score. And yeah, we like it. I know Sam likes it as well.
I did.
Black Panther Wakanda Forever, still directed by Ryan Coogler. Right now, as of today, it has an 84% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, I saw that.
Has a 95% on the audience score. I think that those numbers seem about right. I think an 85%.
I think
tomato
for
meter.
like Rotten Tomato numbers, it's right.
Yeah.
I think they're high. Yeah, it was. I like the movie. I'm gonna get that out of the way. I like the movie.
Okay.
I just think it like all of the Marvel shit as of late has been way blown up high
Yeah.
in the past 3 movies or so. You know, like fucking going to Doctor Strange, Thor, all this shit is getting like in the 90s, and it's like everyone needs to chill a little bit because like we're forgetting what like a true 90s Marvel movie really felt like. You know what I mean? So it's like it's just getting the tomato meters are getting a little old because it's all the same.
Well, the 95 is the
really
audience score.
I know, and that's what I'm saying.
Tomato meter 84. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's not as bad.
Compared to the last two that came out, like this is definitely the best movie over
Doctor
Strange and
I agree with that.
Thor.
Yeah.
And
I think it's close with Doctor Strange. I think I could go either way depending on the mood I'm in, but it's not by much either way. But I think this was way better than Thor. As far as in terms of like a movie.
Oh, I agree for sure.
Yeah.
It's just it's a more grown up, emotional, intelligent movie.
I will say this because it's not adulter. I think this is the most adult movie we've gotten from Marvel in a while.
Yeah. There's a lot of heavy topics in it.
I could agree with that.
I think tone-wise,
I don't know about a lot
subject-wise, there was they still are going to have your Marvel fun moments. That's what makes Marvel Marvel and like jokes and those kind of things.
You know what? I think this was had a lot less jokes in it.
It did, but that's what I'm saying.
I thought it was such a fucking relief.
No, I agree.
I'm like, I don't need all
I
the fucking...
love that this was
especially with the heavy topics, you feel like they would be distasteful to do the heavy jokes.
Yeah, not even like I literally was like, okay, we don't have to sit down like a joke's coming in every 5 minutes on the dot. Like we're literally, there's some heavy shit. We're going to go through some heavy shit. We're going to have some fun moments. We're going to do this and that. But like overall, this was the most adult, serious Marvel movie they've done in a pretty long time.
Yeah.
And I liked it. It was a nice change of pace. It was a breath of fresh air.
Absolutely. So we had a lot of cast coming back.
Yep.
We got Letitia Wright. We have Winston Duke, Lupita Nyong'o, Angelica Bassett, Denai Guerrera, and Martin Freeman all came back. Mm-hmm. And those characters were a bunch of fun this time as well.
Yeah. No, the characterization was really good, I think, in this movie. I mean, I'm a fucking M'Baku guy. We'll get into that. It's like me being if you've listened to the podcast, you guys know, like I just attach, and it's usually like big dumb side characters. I fucking love them. And M'Baku's that guy.
M'Baku's fantastic.
He was that guy for me in Black Panther 1.
Mm-hmm.
He was that guy for me in Civil War. Or not Civil War, what was Infinity War, where they go to him. Anytime M'Baku shows up, I'm like, yep, he's the guy. So in this movie, he carried that right on.
He does.
It's our future cat's name.
Even in a better faction, because in this one, it's not some like they've always built him as kind of the asshole or kind of that other alpha male. Mm-hmm. By now, you get an M'Baku who's like, I know the drill, I know my place, and I'm respected in my place. So like that's the M'Baku
he learns it.
like.
He learns it like halfway through the movie.
Correct.
Movie,
It's good. It's great to see M'Baku. He fucking kills it. But again, everyone comes back and does their character big justice.
See, I didn't like Winston Duke, or I didn't like M'Baku until I learned more about Winston Duke. And when I learned or watched more interviews with Winston Duke, I was like, I fucking love this man.
He's a fucking cartoon character.
He's hilarious. Like such a blast.
He's hilarious.
So, Letitia Wright was a lot of fun. I mean, obviously, we can get this out of the way of the amount of emotion that these actors had to have for this movie following Chadwick Boseman was just, the loss of their friend, even Ryan Coogler was just crazy. Just super emotional for everybody. It's really hard to tell what was acting and what was legit. And it doesn't take them down a notch because I know I've heard some interviews saying like they're not acting. They had it's so fucking rude to say that they didn't have to act because
that's a bullshit criticism.
It's like
any acting is using your own kind of experiences and manipulating them. So that's like just to
say that the loss of Chadwick Boseman helped them.
It does.
It does, but it's it's just fucking rude to say.
But that's how acting is. Any actor knows you take life experience and you amplify that.
You got to use something to make you cry for a scene.
This is something way more. This again, it's a terrible thing, but like this is what acting is. You're trying to replicate those emotions. You don't even have to replicate those emotions because you're talking about real fucking loss of someone that you're really talking about. Mm-hmm. This is what I'll say. I'll get this out of the way in the spoiler free. I was and I still am in the camp of they should have recast T'Challa. That has not wavered from me. I still think we would have benefited more if we just... and again, it's terrible. I love Chadwick Boseman. I think he was awesome as Black Panther. Awesome. But these crazy tragedies happen. And at the end of the day, like, these things need to happen. Yeah. Recasts happen. And we've seen where things can get recast. We've seen Edward Norton get We've seen this happen where it's not foreign. But saying all that, the way they approached this movie, they did it in a pretty good way where it didn't feel like they were just like going, oh, fuck, we lost him in real life, so now we got to figure this out.
Yeah.
It felt like we kind of lost him in that universe, and they're kind, you know what I mean? So it really, I was impressed because not recasting T'Challa and making the story work, for me, in a very believable way, where I thought it was going to be much more like we're going to just be playing to this all day long of like, this is T'Challa, this is Chadwick, you know what I mean? And it wasn't that. And that I was very happy for because, again, like, if you weren't going to recast, which I wanted you to do, this is kind of what I wanted to see.
Yes,
I didn't want to see you get bogged down in that, which they didn't.
No, and the real-life events alongside the pacing and the issues that go along with this movie, I feel like they mirror each other very well.
No, it works. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't feel like some forced or like, fuck, we got to do this or that. Like, it kind of, it feels like it's rushed because we never had that time to spend with T'Challa, actually, because we hadn't gotten a bunch of solo movies with him because of this. But this feels like a natural point in the story, like we would have gotten to this point at some point with T'Challa, Black Panther, and it would have worked.
Yeah, because the confusion that everybody feels in real life about losing Chadwick Boseman on what to do, when you lose their king, the whole country of Wakanda is confused on what the fuck are we supposed to do. It's a good parallel.
So I really did. That was very much props to them. And I know some people didn't like it, and I know some people think it's the greatest thing of all time. But being a guy that wasn't for this choice to begin with at all, I was very, very happy with how it all played out.
I really wanted them to recast as well. And I know a lot of people were saying, it just wouldn't be doing him a great honor or a disservice to him. And I'm like, dude, he's friends with the Washington family. Get John David Washington, the dude from Tenet, who was his best friend. Like, Denzel Washington paid for Chadwick Boseman to go to fucking school. It's like, if anything, I feel like it'd be an honor to play
and that's the thing,
your
too.
best friend was.
A lot of people jumped on the big, like, kind of sensitive cancel culture of like that's not respectful and all that, but at the end of the day, like, Chadwick doesn't own Black Panther.
He doesn't.
It's not. Look at how many Batman we've had. That's the point of this, is you got to keep these characters living on. That's what this is all about, man. So like that's the big thing.
No, I think they addressed correct, like you had said.
It was so if you have trepidation about that or you're looking for one thing or another, I think that was one thing that I was pleasantly happy with how it all kind of came about.
New cast, we got Teenage Huerta, who plays Namor, and we have Dominic Thorne, who plays Riri. Riri Williams, who is the Ironheart. A lot of people are on Teenage's dick right now, and I gotta say, I wasn't too impressed with him. I thought he was an all-right villain. I thought he did an all-right job portraying it, but I didn't really care for it. I thought he was all right.
I think, like acting-wise and such, he was okay. He was good. He was all right. I think his like Namor as a character, how they had him written, was fucking incredible. Okay. I think his it's funny because I've been hitting Marvel for this for fucking movies and movies now. I hate this fucking anti-hero bullshit. Okay. I hate how everyone's an anti-hero, but this is one where I was like, this one works pretty damn well. You know what I mean? And it's crazy that if it's written well, how much of a pass like you can get, because it's like, I've been hammering them for fucking movies now where I'm like, everybody's a goddamn anti-hero.
So you'll disagree with something that I had in my spoiler-free review.
I really I liked his fucking choice of how they kind of turned him like Mayan and like integrated that, like, and a lot of people lost their fucking minds that Namor's a fucking Mayan type dude, and they like, I think that was one of the best choices they could have made to make this thing feel like fresh.
Cool.
It was cool. I liked him as a villain, and I think the big takeaway, and we'll get into spoiler freeze, but I think both Thor and Aquaman could learn a lot from this movie. I think they both could take things from this movie that this movie does really well and apply to what they've tried to do in their universes that I don't think worked as well. Okay. And we'll get more into that in the spoiler section, but that was my big takeaway. Was like, damn, Thor and on the DC side, Aquaman could fucking take a page out of this, especially specifically like the Namor kind of shit that they presented in this movie.
Underwater shit? Yeah. Okay. Is there anything that you think people should watch before they see Wakanda Forever? I mean, you got Black Panther. Yeah. Is there anything? The only other thing that I had was Endgame.
I was going to say, is that there's a scene where they kind of reference some conversation.
Yes.
That's Endgame, not yes. Civil War, right?
I mean, the snap happens at the end of Infinity War, but I think Endgame addresses more the fact of the time that was lost.
And I'm talking more about like M'Baku and M'Baku's like that whole journey.
Well, they address the fact of what had happened between that time. So I think that's why Endgame really isn't important to it, but it addresses
Endgame
the time.
and Infinity War will help you.
They will
help you quite a bit. Civil War gives you the whole backstory of more of like Black Panther and why certain things are the way they are, or why they're kind of hesitant on certain things, especially like the UN and all that kind of things in this movie.
The political shit.
That makes a lot of sense if you've seen how this all started. But like that's the big thing. And then again, I think for like a couple of the M'Baku scenes to hit, you have to kind of know the full journey of M'Baku because like he's gone through quite a bit of a change of like how he sees all of this shit, which really gives you light to like the situation. So, but there's not many, and compared to the other Marvel movies where it's like, fuck, you got to watch 10 of them to know what's going on. This isn't so much.
And like we both had said, you know, Civil War, Endgame, Infinity War, you could probably just YouTube Black Panther scenes from that.
Correct.
And you'd be like,
or M'Baku scenes, and like they tell enough where you're like, okay, I know what's going on in Wakanda or whatever that shit is. Where I agree.
This is just what I'm saying. Like, you know, people might want to watch these at our suggestion. Like, if you guys want to check these movies out, because it's what you can see.
It wouldn't hurt.
No, not at all. So my spoiler-free review now. Ryan Coogler delivers a beautiful, moving tribute to Chadwick Boseman and a powerful sequel to the Black Panther legacy. Everyone involved in this film stepped up their game. Costumes, score, the acting are all fantastic. And Angela Bassett is amazing throughout. Denai Guerrero was a beast, and Letitia Wright proves by the end of this installment that she is not a force to be reckoned with. Although this movie does not dive deep into MCU tie-ins, it definitely sets up for a few. One being with its villain Namor, who is fun to watch, but not a redeemable character, which is what I said that you might disagree with, because you like a villain who doesn't need to be redeemable or have that factor. But he's not a redeemable character for me. His underwater nation of Talokan looks great.
They're awesome. They're cool people. Everything about Talokan is fucking awesome.
As well as the final battle looks great. However, I can say the exact opposite about the Ironheart suit that looks like complete dog shit.
It looks. I'm gonna cut you off right here. It looks like a cartoon Transformer.
It does.
Like I know right now there's a trailer going on for the new cartoon Transformer show. It looks like one of those, and that was one where I was like. That's my note, and I've had this on a couple DC or MCU movies now. The CGI in this movie, there's quite a few points where it's like, this was kind of trash.
This was the biggest one, because I was like...
That was a big one.
In the world of Talokan and everything, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, no, I agree. But there is a couple little things that you would think would be easy CGI that I feel like, and there was one I'll bring up earlier in the movie.
Okay.
But I felt like I was like, these are the little things where I'm like, you used to nail that kind of shit. Now that you're not giving attention to that, like that's the kind of shit that for a second kind of like breaks that little element. You know what I mean? It's just, and they've, for movies now, you know, you talk about Doctor Strange Eye, a lot of people, there's little things in a lot of the past Marvel movies where it's just, you see that CGI department fucking
cool. I can't wait for you to tell me, because we only watch this movie one time.
Ironheart is a big
I'm like, I don't know if it's the color that they chose,
which is crazy because her prototype suit's cool.
Yeah.
That's what's nuts.
Yeah, like I said, I can't wait for you to tell me about them, because we only watch this movie. I
specifically have those notes.
We only watch this movie one time, so I typically tend to say movies are better the first time, and then I watch it the second time and say, you know what, maybe it wasn't that good, or oh man, it really was fucking awesome.
Actually contradicts what you said 15 minutes ago when you were
you said
I love movies way more the second time.
You did.
I will say that.
Are you meaning that you solidify your...
I get what you're saying.
I was confused. That's why...
You solidify your opinion more on the second watch.
That is the wording that I'm looking for.
There we go. Thank you, wife.
Yeah.
I got you.
The story is bloated at times, making you feel like it may have worked better as two films. However, none of that stopped me from crying at least 4 times throughout this, because it is so emotional. Not that makes it a great movie, but I do recommend everybody checking out Wakanda Forever, as it is a good sequel to one of the better MCU films they've ever made. We already talked about how they handled Chadwick Boseman, and I want to let everybody know that there is only one mid-credit scene in this movie. You do not, if you're going to go see this movie, you do not have to wait until the after credits. This is a mid-credit scene.
We'll get to that at the end, but the very last thing that you think, like, oh, I'm going to stay for a second credit, it's just the typical Marvel bullshit that they do at the end of every single Marvel movie. So there's only one real credit scene that matters.
But now we are going to break this movie down.
Yep, so shut it off.
If you have not seen this movie and you want to see this movie and you don't want the spoilers, shut us down. Come back later on to get our opinions.
Thanks for getting your nerd news in. See you next week.
So this movie starts in Shuri's lab in Wakanda, and Shuri is panicking. We learn that she's trying to create something. She asks her AI Griot. How do you pronounce this, Sam? How do we say?
I think it's Griot.
Griot. So she asks her AI Griot. She's like, what is my brother's heart rate at? So you're learning right now that T'Challa's not seen. We cannot see him, obviously, because Chadwick Boseman is not there. But we learn that he's dying, and she's trying to create something that could save her brother.
And everyone around her's in like a panic. You can tell it's full blown, like you're kind of in like a ER room almost. Yeah. Like everyone's like medically like rushing around. There's some really cool things like Shuri's like messing with like a 3D printer almost. You can tell she's trying to like get shit like printed up like DNA. Yeah. The DNA strand was really cool. She's like taking out these physical balls and like making adjustments and putting them back in, and it's turning either red or green. And then her AI, I'm just gonna call him the AI. The AI is basically reporting back like you have a 20% chance, you have a 25. You know, so she
only got to like 29%.
Yeah, so that's the whole thing. It's like a really cool. I've always loved Wakanda. My favorite part of Wakanda is like the futuristic science type shit they have going on. And again, she's got like this 3D printer, like printing a heart or whatever it is, and it's just super futuristic. So it's like all the things we're getting to know now in technology, but just turned up to 11. You know, so there's a lot of that, but in a medical sense, where she's really trying to like save T'Challa, which you can hear in the background. Like T'Challa's obviously like dying, his heart rate's dropping, and she keeps she keeps asking updates and stuff. And
the people in the lab are like, hey, go be with your brother right
Correct.
now.
It's moment of like, it's time to say goodbye. Like, this is not gonna end well.
Yeah, so she tells them all to get out so she can concentrate, and she gets, I actually think she gets up to like 32% on the survival rate. And she gets in the low 30s, and she's just like, yeah, print it. And she gets this thing printed, and Queen Ramonda walks into the room, and she's very still.
You just know.
And she says to her AI, she says, what's my brother's heart rate? And her mother, Queen Ramonda, says, your brother is with the ancestors. And as an audience member, this scene is, you're just as panicked as she is, even though you know what this outcome is. It's really crazy and emotional. The next scene we see is something that has come in, we've all seen in the trailers for this movie. It's everyone in their white clothes.
Yeah, it's like Wakanda. The funeral.
It is the funeral.
Or the wake, whatever you want to call it.
It is the funeral of T'Challa. And they're in a wooded area, and the Dora Milaje are all carrying the casket of T'Challa,
which is a really cool casket. The casket's cool because it's got like, it's just all black, and then it has kind of like vibranium, like
the Wakanda
Forever arms and his helmet like kind of imprinted in it. So it's kind of like this sarcophagus of like, you know, T'Challa. So it's a really like prestigious,
it's a good embodiment
Wakandan, like Egyptian feeling of like putting someone to rest. They're walking through town.
Yeah.
Everyone's in fucking white, you know, which is just awesome. They're playing like drums, and
it's a celebration.
It's a celebration. There's murals on the wall of him, but it's also very heavy because like everyone's celebrating, but then you're walking with Shuri and the Queen, and you're kind of experiencing like the loss of her son and her brother, and you're just, again, it's all real life shit too. Yeah. So it's all heavy. The end of this is where the first terrible CGI thing shows up, though, which is what killed me, dude.
Ooh, let me hit on some things.
Yeah, go ahead.
So before they do rush out into the crowds, Shuri, one of the first parts that broke me is Shuri touches the casket one last time, And it's crazy because they say their goodbyes to the casket, and she rushes to it one more time and like pushes her body on it, and she's hugging it, and it was heartbreaking to me. Like I said, the trailer scene, we see the Dora Milaje is carrying, they're the ushers or pallbearers, and you see Okoye crying while she's holding this casket. Just
visibly shaking.
And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, I want to cry right now thinking about it. But it was very emotional. And the casket, when it's in this town, they have a ship come, and it has like a tractor beam type thing. And it lifts the casket straight up and then into the ship.
Yeah. Which... that's where the first thing where I was like,
okay,
I like the idea of it getting lifted because it's this symbolic, like the casket kind of does like the Wakanda Forever salute as it's getting raised up and everyone does it. That's awesome. But like, again, you're a fucking $400 million movie or whatever the fuck you want to be.
Budget,
you know what I mean? Like we're talking Marvel budgets where these are the biggest budget movies there are. The like CGI of it getting lifted and like the waves and all that, it looked terrible.
And it's such a small thing too.
And it's one of those
250 million.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, and again, they made me believe a underwater Atlantic City. We're gonna get there in a minute. They made me buy that. Like, I was like, yeah, let's go find that fucking thing in the Upper Peninsula. You know what I mean? No, this was like, you guys fucked up like the CGI tractor beam. You know what I mean? It's like shit like that, and it's just like at the end of this big pivotal. Grand wake, it's like that's not the moment to have like your first CGI.
Yeah,
it just was. It just to me looked very like
cheap.
That's kind of cheap and corny, you know what I mean? And then it got like again, I have no issue with it getting like standing up and rising and ascending. Like that's all visually means something. I get what you're saying with that, but like the way it looked very fake.
It was very tractor beamy.
Yeah, and it just just felt like CW type effects. You know what I mean? Where it was like, well, they cut the budget on that shot, you know, and it just sucks because it's like this is your big like send off, and that's right away when I was like. Oh no!
Here we go.
There goes the CGI thing, and you know we see the reports of all these people complaining about being overworked on CGI and wanting to quit Marvel. Like, it's not a lie. Like they're taking hits on their CGI department. It's happening, and it's happening in the small little things. So again, that was my first one where I was like, "Fucking, that was a good opener." But come on, guys.
Yeah.
You know. You weren't doing this shit in Iron Man. Every time in Iron Man 1, that shit every effect looks legit as fuck because they knew it had to be. You know what I mean? So
they had to build a name. Now they got their name built.
Correct.
And they're like,
oh my God, dude. Absolutely.
Right after the casket gets sucked into the ship, we get our Marvel logo, and the Marvel logo that they do this time is that was
pretty cool.
It was cool. It was a very good tribute. It's all the scenes of Black Panther and Chadwick Boseman.
It's purple.
It's purple as well. It's glowing purple. It's
very silent.
Yeah, it is. Yes, there is no music along with it.
That's the big one because they just want you to like.
You want you to take your moment.
Yeah, they like literally are like take a moment and fucking just think about this because this is heavier than like. Just seeing a regular Marvel
a character
movie.
Didn't just die.
Correct.
A person died.
No, it's a really cool tribute without being like R.I.P. You know what I mean? Like it's very like respectful. It's cool. It's a really cool Marvel intro.
We come back to the movie and they shoot up a 1 year later title. And this is where Queen Ramona arrives into the United Nations. So she's in America now. And she's questioned by people. She's questioned specifically by France, asking why Wakanda hasn't been sharing their resources like they said they would. And this whole scene where she's being questioned is intercut with a Wakandan outreach facility,
which is kind of cool. It's pretty cool really, how they do that. You know what I mean? Like it's a creative way to kind of do that.
These military dudes, mercenaries, if you want to call them that, they break into this Wakandan outreach facility, and they're trying to find vibranium
tools specifically at that outpost.
So they're like, well, where are they at? You know, who has the key to this vault? And they get into the vault, and when they open the door, the fucking Dora Milaje is right there and fuck up this whole mercenary group.
Yep.
And it's badass.
It is cool. it's a cool fighting. They all kind of, I mean, we all know the Wakandan, like, women warriors. They're fucking badass. Like, they're just, like, they're brutal. They fuck dudes up.
Yeah.
But they're doing the Marvel shit where, like, instead of, like, stabbing a bunch of people, now they're just, like, tasering a lot of people. Yeah. But that's okay. We know Marvel people don't really kill humans too often. That's okay. But one homegirl's got the fucking taser daggers. Awesome. The taser daggers. And Okoye gives the moment of, like, that's not traditional. Fucking leave those at home next time. But she's like, dude.
She's the general.
Shiri's a fucking tech genius. Like, she's trying to give us equipment to test in the field. But they are fucking dope little, like, taser daggers that she has. A little fun thing about this that I have to bring up. One of the stunt guys in the army was, like, one of my really, really good friends in college. He shot The Take, which was my college film. He was the DP for it. Austin Gill. Yeah, his dad's, or his uncle is Jack Gill, who's part of, like, he does tons of stunts in Hollywood. Did the Fast and Furious stuff. They did like Civil War, Captain America, Winter Soldier. Oh. So Austin does little stunt stuff here and there. And I had no idea he was in the movie. So he is the guy, when they march the guys in the UN, the soldiers, when the door opens, front and center, I was like, that's fucking Austin.
That's cool.
You know, it was just, and I had but I know he does this stuff, and he's done Marvel stunt stuff before, but he's never, like, been, he's always that guy in the fucking, you know, and he was one of the soldiers doing stunt work, and you don't really see their face, but when they march him in the, like, UN thing and the door opens, I was like, holy shit, dude. Good for you.
I know that guy.
Yeah, dude. So it was just awesome seeing, like, a dude I literally was, like, a very good friend in college. Like, it was just crazy to see him out of nowhere, like, front and center in fucking Black Panther 2, dude.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, so that was really, really cool. Shout out Austin. Yeah. I got another shout out a little later on, too. So this movie was full of surprises for me on, like, a career front. It was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Congrats, Austin.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, no. So Ramonda, while she's saying all this and how, you know, their outreach facility was attacked, she calls in the Dora Milaje, and we learn that this was actually intercut because this was a day or so before this UN meeting.
Yeah, it reveals, like, Ramonda playing her cards close to chest, and she was kind of, like, saying, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? And then when they're like, no, she's like, well, by the way, 24 hours ago, we caught these fucking assholes.
Yes,
at
and this is
your fucking facility.
And
like,
this is where Tyler said, like, Ramonda has the military brought in by the Dora Milaje.
Yep. Sorry, little spoiler. Got ahead of myself. But
they're unmasked, and she goes, okay, now tell everybody where you're from. And she looks at France, and they're all French. And Okoye even says, you're welcome, or thank you, or something like. She speaks in French, insinuating, like,
I just did your job for you.
Exactly. So,
and you wonder why we don't want to share vibranium with you guys. That's like
exactly,
her whole thing.
Yeah, and that's what Ramonda says. She says, so we're keeping the vibranium safe. We're keeping it out of the hands of the countries that are going to try to use it against us. So
she also mentions that, like, it's not a secret Black Panther's gone. Mm-hmm. She, like, mentions, like, hey, by the way, there's no Black Panther right now, so we're not trusting anybody because if something gets out of hand, like, we don't have T'Challa or Black Panther to come fucking kind of be the overseer of this. Like, we always have had, the protector that they always say. So, like, that's a big thing, too, is she's very open of, like, we're grieving. We're trying to figure this out as, like, a Wakandan people. Like, this is also why we're not just lending all of our shit out, because we have to kind of watch our own ass for the first time in a long time because we don't have the guy watching all of us.
And she does puff her chest as well because she says, hey, just so you know, we are grieving, but fuck around and find out.
She's a bad bitch. There's no question. She's a fucking queen of Wakanda. You know what I mean? She walks in there like she lost her husband. She lost her son. Like, she is not to be fucked with. And she will be very clear. But at the same time, too, she's trying to be nice, but as soon as they paint it in a way of, like, Wakanda's the problem. You guys are the bad guys. You guys are kind of starting to fucking be shady about all this. And she's kind of like, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, too, like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And, like, if you want to test us, you're more than welcome to. But,
fuck around and find out.
Exactly. Yep. No, it's a pretty cool power exchange, but also, like, she's in the driver's seat. Like, they're not going to make Wakandans do anything they don't want to do.
Nope.
Which is cool.
We cut to a ship in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and a CIA team gets off of a helicopter. They're teaming up, not teaming up, but they have this team that's at the bottom of the ocean, and they have a vibranium detecting machine.
They're like paleontologists for vibranium. Like guys go out looking for dinosaur bones. These guys are literally just scouring the earth looking for vibranium, and they're part of the Americans.
So the CIA team are on the ship, and they're talking to the people under the water, and the people under the water get to this machine, and they see that it's just fucking tore up. So obviously they found vibranium because the drill can't go through it because vibranium is super fucking strong.
And it's like in the bottom of, it's like the crust of the earth is like glowing blue. Yeah. It's just this idea of like, oh shit, vibranium's in the ocean.
Yeah. So the people on the ship can see video of them, and we see that one of them dies, and then quickly right after the other person dies. So one of the people that are on the ship, and they're just doing their walk around to make sure everything's okay, see these heads start to pop up in the ocean, and it's scary because you're like, we're in the middle of the fucking ocean. How's there a head just popping out of the water?
Yeah. It's like one, and then they cut back, and there's like 4 of them, and they cut back, and then there's like 7 of them. It's just like more like, and they're just the heads sticking out of the water. And then there's like
a chant or
a
like
chant,
a
and
spell.
And it's weird because you don't know if it's in the movie or if it's like music.
Yes,
you know, like
score,
just like, because again, it will, if you've seen Black Panther, a lot of the music is like African and chanting and all this shit. So when that happens, it's like, oh, that's spooky and like bad guy sounding.
Some Medusa shit
But
coming out,
and again, it's like, ooh, water people, sirens and shit. Like, ooh, I like this. But you like don't know if it's like, and then it comes out like, oh, this is something they're hearing, because like these people are like becoming like comatose and just walking off the ship, off the plank, so to say, just plunging into the water, which you only can imagine they're probably just drowning or whatever. These people are fucking murdering them in the water, whatever it is. But like these people, it's like a siren call of like these beasts of the water that all of a sudden you're like, oh, this isn't ambiance music. This is a fucking attack.
While you have mentioning the music and the score, this was scored by Ludwig Göransson. He's the guy who does the music for The Mandalorian. He also does the music for the movie Tenet, which
he's got a good style.
I love the score of Tenet.
He's also really young, I think.
He is very young. Yep. So, like Tyler had said, all these people are walking off the ship, and the people who are in the ship, who are part of the CIA, they come out and they notice this. They're like, "What the fuck are these people doing?" And they hear this sound as well. So he fires his gun into the air, and it breaks.
Yeah, it kind of breaks the concentration.
Yeah. So this guy, he saves one of the guys from jumping off right before he jumps off.
And they put earplugs in. The one chick's like, fuck,
they do catch on,
which is smart. It's like, because those are the things in movies you're like, well, why the fuck wouldn't they? Like the main people that are figuring this out are like, oh fuck, like we got to cover up the ears.
Yes, they do that, and they so these blue people start coming out of the water, and they start fucking climbing up the side of the ship.
The Talikans, awesome,
yes.
Dude. They're awesome underwater, and I don't know what to call them. They're not like creatures. They're an awesome underwater like force. Like they're a type of whatever you want to call them, like the Foot Clan or the Putty Monsters from Power Rangers. They're Talikans in the movie, but like they are just awesome, like underwater creepy, like bad guys. It's awesome. I love the weapons. I love the design of them. They have like just like bone type vibranium looking. Like spears and shit. They're primitive, but they still use them like since it's all vibranium.
It gave me vibes of like the first time you saw Davy Jones and his crew kind of like walk out.
Like, and like that's what's cool too is like his generals, like the one general has fucking like the bone of like a hammerhead shark, like as a crown. Like they just have all this aquatic shit on them that it's awesome. I love them.
Yep, they look awesome. So the Talikans are these people. They're the blue skin people, and they board the ship and they start killing the people that didn't make their way into the water. And one of the CIA agents, who is played by Lake Bell, she actually gets away on a helicopter, and they're flying away, and they start getting pulled back, and you're like, "Fuck!" They must have they must have a tractor beam thing of their own. Yeah. And then this helicopter just starts spinning out of control, and
like it's like getting like it got like thrown almost.
Yes. And when it makes its way into the water and not crash lands, it crashes into the water. They die. We see the silhouette in the sky, and it's of a man who's flying, who isn't named yet.
No, and if you know who he is, you know who he is. And it's just like a cool super like.
If you've watched the trailer, you know who this guy is.
It's like a cool quote unquote super villain like reveal. Like you don't. He's all black, silhouetted out with the moonlight. Like the water's behind him, the helicopter's burning. Like you just know like, oh, he's the bad guy of this movie. You know,
in case you didn't know.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. It's a cool kind of opener without like having him do a bunch of shit.
Yeah. We cut back to Ramonda and Okoye, and they are returning back to Wakanda from the UN meeting that they had. And they get to Shuri, and Shuri's in her lab. She's working on a new suit, and this suit is supposed to give somebody superhuman powers since they don't have the Blue Orchid anymore to give the powers of the Black Panther. Yeah, because
Killmonger burnt all that shit down in Black Panther 1.
That is right.
In case you forgot.
And Okoye makes fun of it. And she's just there's like we had said earlier, there's not a lot of comedy in this movie, but most of it does come from Okoye.
Yeah, and it's dry humor in the fact of Okoye is just so stuck in like traditional values that she like refuses to accept it's 2022.
Yes.
You know, and Shuri is a fucking woman of the future. Mm-hmm. So her whole thing is just like, I'm making these fucking suits for you to make your job easier and to be better. You like your soldiers, and you're the one that's fucking saying like it's against tradition and they're ugly. You know, like it's just like, and they have a very good relationship. Obviously, Okoye loves her. She's known her whole life, been protector, you know, all that shit. But like they have that like that friction relationship of like Shuri can kind of say whatever the fuck she wants to Okoye, okay? You know, like what's Okoye gonna do? And Okoye at the same time can say whatever she wants to Shuri without worrying about like upsetting the princess. So they have this like friend, mother,
brother, sister,
older sister kind of relationship. Yeah. And that's exactly, Shuri's trying to build this new fancy armor to help solve a problem, and Okoye wants no fucking part of it.
Yep. While she's working, she does get a call from Nakia, who is from the first film as well.
Correct.
Played by Lupita Nyong'o. Mm-hmm. And she gives her the fuck you button. She turns it away.
Yep.
And Ramonda tells Shuri, hey, I want you to come with me, and I want you to leave all your tech behind. So she leaves her Komoyo beads behind, and she has all the Komoyo beads. And we find out that she has earrings that are Komoyo beads as well.
And she kind of hints that, and this is what I liked about this scene too, because she's like working also on like formulas for like the plant and all that at that point. And it's I think they call it like the heart herb or whatever the fucking like Black Panther flower is.
I called it Blue Orchid. I wasn't 100% sure.
It's something, I don't know the actual name they roll it, but we all know we're talking about like the glowing blue flower. That's what she's trying to recreate. And she has a moment where she kind of says out loud for the first time, like, hey, I get you guys all think this is some crazy, like, religious big thing, but, like, I'm just much more interested in the science behind this. And I was interested in building this to try to save, like, T'Challa. Like, the whole, like, rebuilding the Black Panther thing is not something I'm remotely interested in. I'm trying to just fix, like, the problem of the thing we lost.
Just to interject, it literally is just called the heart-shaped herb.
There you go. Okay. So again, but it's a cool moment of like realizing like, oh, Shuri is in this culture and part of this and a princess, but she's so far like, I'm not into the religious thing. I'm not into the like whole ancestral thing. Like I believe science because this is what I fucking do.
And it is good that you brought this up because like you had said, you know, she's a woman of science. You know, she also blames herself in a way.
Correct.
For her brother. Like she wants to be able his illness in this movie is never said.
No, they just call it an illness, which I actually love too. I love that it wasn't some big fucking like T'Challa saved us from a fucking plane falling and saving. You know, like it wasn't any bullshit like that. It was like, oh, he got sick.
They worded it as he was fighting his own battle.
Yeah, like, and they say it was a random quick illness like that. It was like again, it was like he got fucking like cancer. Yeah, you know what I mean?
And Shuri's trying to develop a cure for that.
Correct.
Whether it be for the next family member who gets this sickness or be for the next Wakandan
she's relying on 100% science to do that, not fucking ancestral thought.
Very true. So they take Ramonda and Shuri, they go to a quiet lake in Wakanda where Ramonda wants to burn her funeral clothes. Like I had said earlier, this is 1 year later, so she mentions like, hey, do you know
like the end of the mourning period.
Exactly. This is the finalization of the grieving process is what she calls it. And she wants Shuri to do it as well. But Shuri has this speech where she says, you know, she basically buries herself in her lab to keep herself from thinking about her brother, because if she thinks too long about her brother, she just wants to burn the entire world down with,
and it's that concept of like, look, I get like your ceremony and your beliefs make you feel better, but like, you know, praying isn't making this go away. Like I have real, like, and if I think about it, it's just like, I think very practically. This isn't about, oh, T'Challa has moved on with the ancestors. Like, my brother's fucking gone, and nothing fixes that. So what can I do to make sure that doesn't happen? It's like the Batman. Like, how can I prevent that to never happen to another kid again? Like, that's the approach Shuri takes. It's much more like, I respect the culture, but like, I'm not buying into this shit. And just because you feel like you have to do this, like, that's not going to help me in my process at all.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of a, it's a classic parent moment. It's like the parent doing the thing and being like, hey, you should really do this to be good for you. And the kid being like, I get it, but you don't understand where the fuck I'm coming from, because we're in totally different eras.
She's not ready for it yet.
Nope.
Either. Moments later in the distance, we hear an elephant herd, or they see an elephant herd when they first get there, but we see and hear this elephant herd get scared, and it alerts Ramonda and Shuri, and they don't have any of their shit because Ramonda said, hey,
leave it all behind.
Leave all your tech behind. So we see this head pop out of the water just like we did from the CIA, but this head continues to get closer and closer. And when it gets halfway out of the water, we see that it is actually Namor, the guy who we saw in the beginning who was flying. Namor has wings on his ankles.
He has them in the comics too. Yes. And that's the thing too. It's not some weird choice.
No.
Namor he's a fish guy with wings on his ankles.
Yep.
And actually, the Mayan god that they fucking tap into in this movie, it makes that, again, the Mayan choice for this makes so much, like, for me, is like, goddamn, that's how you like reinvent a character but make it all make fucking sense.
Okay.
And that's like, the wings make total sense when they use the Mayan culture that they go into, which we'll get into in a little bit.
Yeah. So Namor says to Ramonda, he knows who they are. And Ramonda and Shuri are fucking shocked because he got into the walls of Wakanda.
Because, again, if you haven't seen it, Wakanda is just in a giant bubble dome.
Yep.
They're in a giant force field bubble of all time. And they're like, how the fuck did this guy just come out of a lake? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Is this?
And he's totally unfazed. Like, it wasn't a process. Nope. This is something very easy that he's probably been in these waters before. You know what I mean? Like,
so he says, nice to meet you guys.
He's super cool and like peaceful. There's no like supervillain flags that go off right away. He's very just like, hey, I know this is kind of startling, but this is where I'm sitting at. This is this is what's going on right now, so you guys know.
He says to her that your son T'Challa exposed Wakanda and vibranium to the entire world, and now somebody has found.
It's caused people to come looking.
Yes,
that's the thing.
Because they can't get the vibranium from you, they're searching for it elsewhere, and they found it at the bottom of the ocean, which is where me and my people live, in Talokan.
And that shocks the shit out of them, because they're like, what do you mean? We thought vibranium, like, that was the whole myth of Black Panther, was like, we're the fucking blessed nation with vibranium.
Yes, this meteor hit this area,
correct,
and we are the only ones
that have it. And Namor's basically like... No, like, there's vibranium in the ocean, in the fucking water, lady, and I've been living down there for a long fucking time.
Yes.
Like, you've actually just fucked all this shit up, because for years we've been just chilling.
Yep.
And now your son kind of fucked all this up, so here's what we got to do.
He tells Ramonda that there's a scientist who made this machine that can detect vibranium, and we want that scientist. So since you guys since your son fucked it up for me, you guys are going to help me out by getting this scientist. And when you find this scientist, I want you to blow into this fucking
conch shell.
I
actually like that too. Water. It was like so like
it seems so silly.
It does, but it also seems like so like
he don't have cell phones.
Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy and like Aquaman.
magic.
You know what I mean?
Shell.
It's just that idea of like, blow this thing and I'll show up. Like, this is the fucking call, because the ocean's a big fucking place, dude. And it's just one of those things where I was like, for an underwater type guy, like, of course he has like a conch shell cell phone. You know what I mean? Like, it's stupid, but like, of
that
course,
was one of the
dude.
first things that popped into my mind was magic conch shell.
Yeah.
Will I ever get married?
Yeah,
like,
no.
Fuck SpongeBob.
It is, but it's funny and stupid, but like, it's true. Yeah. Like, there are certain funny, stupid tropes that come along with like fish heroes, and that's one of them. So I'm down, dude.
But he says, bring the scientist here and bring them to me, and I will kill them. But it better not tell anybody outside of Wakanda about me or my people, because then I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, he's like, Wakanda will be target number 1.
Yep.
Like, if you guys fuck this up.
So then Ramonda informs the whole tribal council about her encounter, and M'Baku comes in, and he's fucking puffing his chest, and
he's doing M'Baku, man.
He's
he
like,
is who he is.
He's like, well, obviously we're gonna go fuck up the fish man.
Yeah,
let's go fuck him up.
He thinks the idea that they're being like threatened by a fish man is like comical. Like he's like, let's just fucking wipe these dudes out. This is ridiculous.
And everyone seems to be on board with, hey, let's just give up the scientist, so nobody has. Because nobody's ever snuck into Wakanda. This is fucking crazy. Not only did he sneak into Wakanda, when Shuri and Ramonda turn around, they see that the vibranium detector is right next to them. Like, when he was talking to them, his people snuck this fucking thing onto the land and put it there while they were conversing.
Or he got it there somewhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just that idea of, like, we're not dealing with, like, humans. You know, we're not dealing with the UN. These guys are us, maybe even scarier. You know what I mean?
So they're like, yeah, let's get the scientist. Let's give it to the guy, because Wakanda has no protector. We can't do anything if they decide that they're going to attack us. So they're all scared. But M'Baku proposes something very important. He says, look, I understand. Like, I know that I was just saying we got to fuck them up. But if we end up giving this scientist to them, who's to say that they're not going to stiff arm us again and say, well, now we want you to do this?
Yeah, no, he's got that, like, protector mode on where he's like, look, like, we can't just submit to the terrorists right away, because then, like, they're just going to come knocking at any time. It's like Bug's Life. Like, Hopper's just going to come looking for fucking nuts any chance he gets.
Last episode, you were talking about how fucking Jack Skellington was the Sully of... Now you're coming out with some fucking...
It's true, though. Well, because Disney's
Disney
also the fucking masters of being like, oh, that story works. Let's just reskin that fucker. Like, they've been doing it since The Lion King. So it's that thing, though. It's that idea of, like, hey, if we just roll over, they're going to fuck us up all the time. So it's again, and it's... M'Baku has a few moments in this movie where it's like, he's the one that's really thinking 2 steps ahead.
Yeah.
Like, he brings up a couple good points a couple times, especially when it comes to, like, fighting these guys, where he's like, we all should think about this before we just make this decision, because there's big repercussions that come from these small little decisions that we're making.
Yeah, he seems like first one. He seems like a big dumb brood. But he's
also like a war general,
because he looks big, dumb, and broody.
And they call him dumb. They act like he's dumb, because he does. He gets worked up. He makes all his monkey noises, and his tribe gets going. Like, they want to fight, and like they make comments of like, you musclehead and all that shit. But at the end of the time, like, he's kind of like a war general. Like, when it comes to fighting, like strategy,
he's the chief of the Jabari. He's in charge.
Dude,
he's in charge of the Jabari tribe. Like,
correct.
He's
the man of the mountains, dude. So I love him, and it's a good intro of being like, hey, I may be the idiot, but there's some repercussions if we just fucking do what they want to say. So
because when he does say that, Ramonda she gets this look on her face of like,
good point.
Damn.
Yeah, you're right. I was gonna give the scientist up, but now look at this shit. You brought something to my attention. Mm-hmm. So Ramonda tasks Okoye with tracking down the scientist and bringing them back. While Ramonda is talking to Okoye, Okoye insists on bringing Shuri with her on this mission to get her out of the lab. She thinks taking her mind off of normal shit is going to help her get through this grieving process.
Yeah, and they mention, like, Shuri's a fucking the tech girl. Yeah. So it's like, if we're going to go find a fucking scientist that's building all this shit, like, Shuri may be a good asset. Fucking person to bring along for this job. Yeah. And Okoye kind of hits her with the, like, it's not going to kill her to get out of fucking Wakanda. Like, she hasn't left in a year, like... We go out and do these missions all the time. She sits in the lab, like, what's going to happen? I'll take her out. She's coming with me, kind of thing, you know?
What's going to happen?
Again, like every movie.
I'm a Koye.
I'm the fucking protector. What'll happen? Don't worry. You know, like any fucking movie.
Yeah. So the first thing on Shuri and Okoye's agenda is they go and see Agent Ross, played by Martin Freeman.
Everett Ross.
Yep. And they convince him because he questioned him. He's like, what'd you guys do in the Atlantic?
Which, again, if you don't remember, this is not General Ross.
No.
Because people hear Ross and be like, what? This isn't General Ross. This is like the friend that they had. This is like the friendly white guy with the Wakandans.
This is Bilbo Baggins.
Correct. Yeah. Yes, thank you. Yes, yep. Bilbo Baggins. Ross.
So he questions them like, hey, what the fuck did you guys do in the Atlantic Ocean? Why are you attacking people for finding vibranium?
Why are you fucking,
and they're like,
fucking up U.S. ships?
They're like, that was not us. Why would we do that? And
but that's what's crazy is like he in that moment shows that the UN, I'm just going to call them the UN. The UN essentially is like they automatically assume Wakanda is the attackers because it was a vibranium source that was protected. So they're like, look, we've been begging for a vibranium. You guys are the only ones that want vibranium. Now people killed us when we went to go get vibranium. It's obviously you guys. And they're like, I know how that looks, but like, was not us.
But we can't tell you who did it.
We can't fucking say anything about who it actually is, but like, we're on the case. You need to fucking help us.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I owe your brother my life.
Right.
And he says, so they say, well, who's the scientist who made the vibranium detector? And he said, it's a kid. It's a girl at MIT. So we jump over to meet Riri Williams, and she is a kid. She's in college, and she's doing this, like, homework side hustle thing to make like, money.
Yeah.
And it's kind of creative for a 19-year-old because she's 19. And Okoye and Shuri are just watching her, and Okoye is like, I'm going to go get her.
It's one of the, like, okay, we're going to have a little humor here scenes, and it's just one of those, like, where Shuri just gives that look of, like, you're in normal clothes, but you're also a fucking bald, like, warrior woman in the middle of a goddamn MIT Boston campus, like...
Yeah.
Why don't you let me just go try to handle this?
I look young. I can blend in.
And she just looks like a normal. Shuri just looks like a normal fucking person.
She does.
You know, she just has her beads. That's the only thing. So she kind of convinced Okoye, like, I'll give you 5 minutes or whatever.
She does, yeah. So she goes to bring her back, or she goes to the dorm room. Yes, and it's really cool because when she knocks on the door and Riri opens the door, Riri's like, "Oh my God. You're Princess Shuri. Yeah. This is crazy. Oh my God." And she lets her into the dorm room and she tells her like, "Hey, I need you to come with me, and because these guys are gonna come after you.
Built
You're very
fucking
important
machine or whatever."
And she's like, "What are you talking about? That thing that I did for a fucking project? My teacher said that was bullshit." So Shuri says, I just need you to come with me quietly. So Riri doesn't want to go, and she tries to get away. She goes to walk into her bathroom. She's like, I got to go to the bathroom real fast. And Okoye pops out of the bathroom.
Yeah, just like one of those ninja moments of like, where are you going kind of thing.
Yeah, she's like, she goes, oh, I had this handled, is what Shuri said. And she goes, oh, yeah, I'm sure you did.
Yeah, she's like, I told you I gave you 5 minutes. I gave you 6. Yeah, like that kind of shit.
It was another little moment of humor. And like I said, most of the humor comes from Okoye in this movie. But they convince her because she goes, oh, well, fuck it. We'll just leave. We'll let the guy who wants to kill her, the guy with wings on his feet, come and
like
kill
the guy
her.
That breathes underwater can just fucking deal with you.
And she's like, oh shit, okay. So they convince her, Riri, to go with them. And
Riri has, and it's built into her character, but she's got like a hard nosed like Chicago attitude. That's her whole thing. She's like a kid from the streets where she's like,
I believe she's from Chicago.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, she has the Chicago flag. They're shooting Ironheart here in Chicago. Oh shit, now. Okay. Yeah, or next year they're starting to the show. So hopefully I can get some auditions on that fucker.
Fuck yeah.
But anyways, like, yeah, that's her whole thing is like she's this kid from like urban Chicago that's like a genius that also has that fucking like street attitude. So she's very like not afraid of shit, but also like unapologetic how she's talking to everybody. She's got a really good character in that sense where she's got some good attitude to her.
Yes, she does. But they go to Riri's lab, which is just like a shitty warehouse garage that a guy lets her work on.
Yeah, because she gives like free tune-ups to his like garage or his dump trucks or whatever the fuck she says he owns.
So she wants to get her laptop and just all of her research. And while they're there, the
FBI,
the AI tells Shuri that the FBI is there, and we get a chase scene. And this is. Shuri gets on a motorcycle. Okoye uses Riri's her dad's old muscle car.
Yeah, it's just like a muscle car that's sitting in there.
And Riri uses her Mark 1.
Yeah, her prototype Ironheart suit.
Yeah, and it's cool. Like you had said earlier, like it's a prototype.
Yeah, it's like a type of exoskeleton. Like it doesn't have a bunch of armor, but it flies. It has kind of the like Tony Stark glowing fucking whatever you want to call that.
Like the arc reactor?
Yeah, it has like the arc reactor in it. Like it's just a very basic, like bare bones version of that.
She does mention, and this I'm sure this will come in later on in the Ironheart series, is that she says, there's videos of me all over YouTube on this thing. So you're like, okay, cool. So we're going to see more of her. So they work as a team to get away from the FBI, and when they finally get away from the FBI, the Talokans show up, and they have like these water bombs that
one of the
blow
coolest
up.
Fucking.
It's
this is
cool.
one of my first. Like this is a big where I can mention kind of what I was talking about when I started about Aquaman. These are the type of water weapons you need to be incorporating, and like when you build water type things, this is how you do it. Aztec fucking hunting spear looking things, harpoons, if you will. And we want fucking water bombs, dude. Yeah. Like, this is the kind of cool water weaponry we want. And that's what I think Aquaman can take a page out of that. Like, we don't need this futuristic suit, weird bullshit. Like, those guys had a little mask over their face that was filled with water. Mm-hmm. Perfectly enough for us to be like, okay, they need that to survive out of water. They didn't have this big light-up, water-filled suit like Aquaman. You know what I'm talking about? And they didn't have these crazy, stupid guns. They had, like, practical shit. And they had awesome-ass water bomb like technology to bring the water to the dry. Like, bring their fight to them.
So these water bombs are like basically they are the size of a grenade, but when they go off, they just produce so much water, the size of like an explosion.
It's like a giant tidal wave hitting you. It's crazy.
They were cool. They're a very cool concept. So they set off this water bomb, and Shuri is knocked off the bike. And Okoye's car flips over, and they pull Riri out of the sky, and she crash lands, and she's knocked out. Okoye is the one who comes.
She's like okay.
Yeah, she comes to quicker than the other ones, and Okoye gets to fight these three kind of like you would say like foot soldiers or something. They're the lower warriors, I guess you would call them. They're the people who are willing to die.
Yeah, they're just like the no-name soldiers. But again, one of the main no-name soldiers, he's on like the main poster and all that, was Chris Cortez, who did all of the choreography for Man-Bat.
Oh,
so he's the guy that taught me all the Red Hood shit.
Goddamn.
Yeah, and again, he's not like the main Atuma, the guy with the he's just one of the soldiers, random soldiers. But on the poster, you know how the poster's like, all of the upside down guys, he's the guy in the very middle that's like the little soldier. That's him. And again, he's all blue and shit, so I couldn't be like, oh, that's Chris. Like I could with Austin when it was his white-ass face on the camera and a close-up. This is not like that with all. I couldn't tell you which one is Chris, but I know Chris was one of the main fucking things. So shout out Chris Cortez, dude. Helped us on Nightmare and is now fucking a Talocon soldier, dude. Like, bad fucking ass.
Congrats, Chris.
Yep.
Yeah, so Okoye fucks up these three warriors, and
she like kills them.
Yeah, they're laying on the ground. They're fucking done.
Because again, we think these are like creatures, so now we can kill these people because this isn't like a human. So Marvel's rule is off. If it's an alien, we can fucking kill it.
Yep. And this is where General Atuma.
He's a badass dude.
He is. He's just a fucking bigger version of the other guys, and he hands Okoye's ass to her.
Yeah.
Like, she's using all of her might to fight this guy, and they're both fighting with spears, which is pretty cool.
He just overpowers her.
Yeah, she'll hit him with all the force, and she's knocked backwards
he just eats
from the force. Yeah, it's fucking cool. But he ends up knocking her off of the bridge, and he goes to kill Riri, and this is when Shuri wakes up, and she steps in front of the spear, and she's like, no, you're not going to kill her. I demand that you take me to
Shuri literally invokes Parlay from Pirates of the Caribbean.
She does.
She literally is like,
that's exactly what I
Parlay, fucking take me to Namor. Like, I'm of royalty. You can't kill me, like, kind of thing. Like, hey, I want to take her to Namor. Take me to your boss. Do not harm me.
I thought she said leave Riri and just take me, and then they ended up taking both of them.
I
was like, oh shit, okay.
They do, but it's the same thing. It's like she basically is like, Parlay, fucking fuck all this. I'm actually someone important. Bring me to your important guy because we're gonna talk business. And they honor it, which is like what kind of gives you a cool look into like their culture. Like they are a very like
honorable type
traditional
thing,
again, like even though pirates aren't honorable, they all respect the code of parlay. You know, as soon as parlay happens, they all fucking respect it. And that's exactly what happens in this moment. They're like, okay, you want to see the king? We'll bring you to the king.
Okoye she's in the water and she sees all this happening and she goes to swim, but she's like, fuck, there's no fucking way. They're picked up by a whale. People. They're picked up by a whale. So, like, you ain't catching up to this fucking whale, Okoye. But she screams, and you could just hear the agony in her voice. And this is another one. This is another one of these things where you're like, fuck, man, you feel so sorry for Okoye. And this is where Denai Guerrera, her acting was really cool. Like, I really enjoyed her in this movie. The next day, Agent Ross shows up to this crime scene. When he shows up, we see Julie Louise-Dreyfus is there. This is Contessa Valentina de Fontaine. And she is from the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. As she's set up as like the goddamn.
She's got like Amanda Waller energy.
That's it, Amanda.
You know
Waller.
what I mean? Like that's kind of
exactly
like the
who she's
idea.
Gonna end up being. Ross finds Shuri's Kimoyo beads.
Yeah, she like they're looking over the wreckage and shit, like going over the crime scene.
Yeah.
And he kind of sees the beads and fucking pockets them.
Yeah,
he knows what the fuck they are.
Yes.
And then she drops a beat of like, oh, he's my ex-husband and ex-wife, and it's like, oh shit, these guys are exes. So you just know right away, like, oh, this probably isn't gonna end good. Like, you know, it's just one of those things of like, oh, they have a lot of history. Like, oh no, you know.
I feel like I do not like her character, not just because she's a character that you're not supposed to like, but I don't like the way she plays her. I mean, I don't know this character from the comics.
I don't either. So
she's kind of annoys the fuck out of me.
It's a weird. It's nothing to her because she's a great actress.
Yeah.
It's just her character. Again, I think the whole Miranda Waller thing's getting overdone. Like people get like there's that type of like Miranda Waller woman government like lady in like almost every iteration of superhero shit now.
Yeah.
Where it's getting old. You know what I mean? So to see another one, it's just like, all right, we know where this is going. It's just like seeing the angry army general. You know, like we all know there's a fucking angry army general that wants to weaponize this or thinks this is the end of war and that hurts business. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's where I kind of got with her. But I thought the fact that they were exes is like, oh, that's a little interesting. Like this is going to be deeper than it's not just his boss. Yeah. Like that's his ex-wife.
Yep. So Okoye is back in Wakanda, and she's in front of the tribal council, and she's like, I request that you guys let me take the Dora Milaje.
Yeah, she's ready to go knock on some fucking doors.
Yeah, she's like, we need to go get the princess right now. And Ramonda is fucking pissed, man. She's so pissed, and she brings up shit from the first movie. She goes, you know, when I went into hiding after Killmonger killed my son, you stayed here and you stood beside Killmonger. And instead of fleeing like me and Nakia and Shuri did, you stayed here. And the council's like, yeah, but she also held a spear to her husband's throat to protect.
Correct.
And
which is the only time they mentioned Daniel.
Yes, which is wonderful because Ramonda responds with, yeah, but Okoye can go visit him whenever she wants. He's not at the bottom of the ocean or possibly dead. So you're like, oh,
you know, he's just like was like kind of like excommunicated type.
Yeah.
Feeling like after that shit happened, they were probably like, hey, I know you're the beast man. You control like the rhino monsters we ride around, but like you fucked up, bro. Yeah. Like, so you're going to have to
Which
leave
I do
Wakanda
love that he's not dead. They address the fact that he's
well,
there.
Of course, because if Jordan Peele's not filming a movie on the next one, they want his ass back, dude.
Yeah. Bring him back, dude.
Yep. No, but I agree. And it also, like, I think she mentions how she, like, was protected by M'Baku and the tribe back when they accepted her. And it's that moment of, like, she's just reiterated. They make little moments to, like, build M'Baku for these moments of, like, hey, don't forget, remember the asshole that's, like, the dumb monkey guy?
Yeah.
He's also he's the only one that took the queen in when fucking everyone else was like, no, you're not Wakandan anymore. You know what I mean? It's like the dumb gorilla, the angry strong guy, knows exactly what the fuck he's doing. So don't forget that, Miss Noble Warrior.
That's right.
I love it.
So Ramonda strips Okoye of her ranking.
That was a tough scene. It's just like,
and boots her ass right out of the Dora Milaje. And this is another good scene. Because Okoye's like, she's very emotional. She's like, this is all I know. this is all I've ever done was be the general of the Dora Milaje. What am I supposed to do now?
Yeah, and the queen is not remorseful at all. She's basically like, yeah, this is all you've done, and you did a fucking shit job.
You promised me that she'd be okay.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, because she's like, I've given everything, and she's like, and I haven't. I've lost my entire family.
Yeah, and that's her thing. Yeah. She's like, I lost my husband, I lost my son, and now the fucking princess is gone too.
Yeah,
like, so you fucked that one up, and she just has to eat it.
Yep. But it's a good scene.
It is
really good scene. So Ramonda goes to Shuri's lab and she asks Griot the AI. She says, "Were you with her when she was taken?" And Griot says, "Yeah, I was with her." And she says, "Well, can you track her Komoyo beads?" And she does. So it ends up sending a call to Agent Ross, and Ross is dropping off Valentina Valentina. And he's like, "Oh, I got to take this phone call." So she gets out of the car.
He acts like he's on a phone with like a new girlfriend. And she gets like upset because he's like, "Oh, hey, honey, no, I'm just going to work or whatever." And she's like, "Ugh, I'll just see you later," and leaves. And then he like right away is like, "Oh, hey, queen."
Like, yep. So he tells Ramonda, he's like, "Hey, well, he also does question again. He's like, what the hell happened in the Atlantic?"
He's like, "I'm starting to get pressure on me, and like I'm happy to fight in your guys' corner, but you guys got to start giving me shit because I can only help as much as you guys will let me.
I tell you information, you give me information," is what he tells them. Yeah. But she can't mention Namor, so she can't give him too much. But she says to the AI, so they hang up the phone, but she says, "I'll keep you guys." They both say to each other, "I'll keep you in the loop of everything." So she asks the AI, "Hey, was Shuri wearing the earrings, her Komoyo earrings as well?" And they say, "Yeah." But, they kind of lost connection around the Yucatan Peninsula. Mm-hmm. So our next scene is Ramonda, and she goes to Haiti. And you're like, what the fuck is she doing?
Yeah.
And she ends up seeing Nakia.
Yeah. Which is kind of cool.
It is very cool.
You forget about, like, you see the phone call, but, like, since you don't see her, you don't really think... At least I wasn't really thinking much about her. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you see her name pop up and her to ignore it.
Yeah.
But you don't really think about it much. And then it's like you actually see her and you're like, holy shit, yeah, she was a huge part of this whole Black Panther thing. Like, she was like T'Challa's like main squeeze. Like, what the fuck? Like, she was the badass like spy in a way, or like tracker, for the tribe. So it was like, oh yeah, duh, of course they're gonna go get her because she's like the one that gets shit done before fucking T'Challa was running around doing shit.
Exactly. So we see Nakia, and she's working at a school, and she's helping kids, and their kids are learning. They're doing Miyagi techniques where they're painting the walls to learn lessons and paint and
it's like a school, orphanage, refugee. It's just like, cool. I'm gonna make the youth a better thing.
But she explains that she's been there since the blip, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and Ramonda brings up why Nakia was not at the funeral, and she just says that she couldn't come to terms with the fact that he was gone, so that's why she's been there the entire time. And Ramonda does say death is never the end for Wakandans, which I think is a very interesting.
And I believe that's also where she kind of like expresses like, look, everyone lost the Black Panther, and you like lost the sun and everything, but like I lost everything. Like to me, he was T'Challa. He was fucking everything for me. So, like, I had to fucking dip out. Like, I had to kind of take my thing. Because, like, I didn't just lose a son or a king or a protector. Like, I lost my fucking boyfriend or husband. Whatever the fuck you want to kind of put it as. Because that's, like, what they always pin them as. Is, like, bigger than the superhero story.
Yeah. So she asks Nakia, she says, Shuri's gone, she went missing, and I need one of our best, like, sleeper agents.
Yeah, she's like, you're the tracker, you need to fucking get back on the clock.
I need you to do some recon and go to the Yucatan and find out some shit about Namor, because this is the man who possibly has Shuri.
Yeah, we have 0 leads.
And she agrees to do it.
Nakia goes to like the village to get that whole thing, because she's like just in again. She goes exactly where the queen was like, "Hey, go check this area out." She goes there, and there's like this Spanish speaking woman, who's very much like, we don't fucking talk about this. This is like the boogeyman of And then she references that he's Ku Clan. They call him Ku Clan, which is a real Mayan god. It's like the feather serpent god, which is what they talk about. And I played Smite in video games, so I know it. And that's what's really cool and makes what I think they brought to the Namor. It helps buy the wings on him because he is a literal giant serpent flying fucking snake thing. That's what Ku Klux is. It has like its gills are almost wings, almost like the wings on Namor's feet. So it like makes a lot of sense that like
they would call him that.
That they would think he is this fucking Mayan god because it's this thing that lives in the water that flies as well and has super strength and all this shit. So they think he's a god. Yep. And that's your first inkling of like, oh, this isn't just some dude on a path or whatever. Like, this is a dude that people have put on an altar, like how kind of the Wakandans put Black Panther on this, like, bigger than life thing. Is like, he's a fucking god in human form.
And they do insinuate that he's been around for a long time.
Oh, yeah, and that's
like, this is ancient.
You can look at paintings on the walls and all that shit of, like, this. And anyone who knows Mayans, like, Mayans are the ones that, like, before, like, they're rivaled up there with pyramid building, like, Egyptians. It's like,
they got the calendar wrong,
though.
Shit was supposed to end in 2021.
That's one thing I want to talk a fucking Namor about real quick.
2018, man, yeah.
But yeah, no, but like that's a big thing where it's like, oh, Namor is gonna go off going off Ku Klux Klan, which is actual Mayan culture. Like, this is fucking genius. Like, that makes so much sense for me. Like, I loved it.
It does help the whole story and what you're supposed to believe in. So in Talokan, Shuri is brought to Namor, and Namor tells Shuri his story.
They give her robe. That was my favorite part, though, because they walk up to her in the garments, and they're like, hey, you're of royalty. In our culture, if you're of royalty, we make you these like special royalty robes to wear so everyone in town kind of like treats you with respect.
They know.
Because they know you're of royalty, so don't like fuck her. And it's like, I thought these guys are bad guys. Like,
are you prisoners?
These are fucking...
I thought this was your prisoner, yeah.
I thought these guys are super fucking respectful of cultures and, like, all of this shit. I'm like...
Which they do give Elizabeth Swann a dress.
Man?
They do they do give Elizabeth Swann a dress as well when they go to meet Barbossa.
True. Or else she'd be dancing naked.
But Namor
really
tells
cool.
Namor tells his story. He says, my mother in 1571 had, in her people, they had smallpox, and they turned to
the Spanish Inquisition.
Yes.
Which, again, real history type shit that went on. So it's like,
yeah,
this makes sense. Like, this is all, like, kind of real in a way. It's cool.
They definitely helps you to get through it.
Yep.
The people turned to the god Chak, and he gave
Which is another fucking real Mayan god.
Yep. He gave them a blue flower underwater that when they drank it, it turned them all... They all passed out, but when they woke up...
It, like, killed them in a way. It, like, killed... It was like
born and reborn, like a phoenix type thing.
Yeah, like a cult where you drink the Kool-Aid and all go, like, yeah, that's, like, what they did. But, yeah, like, they woke up again, but, like, they were having trouble breathing and they were blue.
Yes.
But the smallpox was cured.
So because his mom was pregnant and she drank this, when he was born with pointy ears that pointed to the sky and wings on his ankles.
Yeah.
And he could breathe underwater and in the air. He was a mutant, is what he says.
And again, I didn't watch fucking Miss Marvel and all that bullshit. So this was the first time I got to hear, like...
Oh, yeah, mutant. The word mutant.
And it just, like...
It helped.
This was the good, like, goosebumps up my, like, of, like...
Yeah.
It just feels good to hear it. You know what again... Don't rush into X-Men, because I don't want them to rush into that and fuck all that up, but it was just like...
We're getting our little seed
like,
right
it's
now.
like, one day, are they going to finally just be like, oh yeah, by the way, vibranium's actually adamantium? Like, let's just fucking go back to this. You know what I mean?
It's
like,
coming.
you know what I mean? Like, all this shit. Like, it's like, the worlds are starting to blend a little bit, so it's like, finally hearing him be like... And he didn't make this big dramatic, like, I am a... mutant. He was just like, I was born with wings on my feet. They would describe me as a mutant. There was
no hold for applause.
No, he just said I was a mutant, and he just continues. But the like X-Men nerd in me was like, yes, yes,
exactly. Zosha sat next to me, and when they said the word mutant, I went, ooh.
Yep.
And she goes, what? I was like, don't worry about it.
You don't know. You don't understand. You don't understand it.
She hasn't watched X-Men yet. But she watched the new ones. But
she's watched First Class and those.
But you don't understand. Like the weight of that word is like, yes.
They couldn't say this word in the last 28,
Correct.
29 films.
And again, I know that like Miss Marvel and all that shit had mutant type ass stuff, but I'm talking movie, big lights, big character, like.
And he's technically the very first mutant because he's the oldest mutant in this MCU so far that we know about.
True.
But this is absolutely a big deal.
It was a big nerd like moment of me of just being like, thank fucking God. He also, before we get too into this, I don't want to brush over this. Before he tells her this big story, he gives Shuri his mother's bracelet.
She sees it before they go, but then I think
all right. Well, whatever. He explains this is my mother's like bracelet type thing. Yeah.
Because so while they're up there, Siri.
Oh, you're right. After they go visit.
While they're up there, Shuri does mention that it's beautiful, and he goes, "Oh, this was my mother.
Correct.
She was born in 1571," and this is where he goes in the story.
Yeah. But the original bracelet. Yes. That was made out of the fucking
vibranium.
The plant, the original plant thing.
The plant with I don't know how.
I don't know how they explain that, but it just okay. We all believe it.
So yes, he does say about mutant. And then when he explains that when his mother died, he wanted to bury her on the land that she was born.
Because she's has aerial complex where she he explains as she grew older, she grew fond of missing the land. Yeah. Kind of thing. Because they have to live underwater.
So they brought her to land, and when they get up there, you see all these conquistadors, and they've enslaved the natives. And they look at Namor because he starts flying, and then they just start firing. Yeah, because
the conquistador starts talking to the slaves, whose secret is this kind of thing. It's again, they're enslaving all the Mayans and Mexican slaves. All the Spanish conquistadors are.
Namor and all the Talocans, they kill and burn down the building of all the people that are there. Mm-hmm. So when he's done with this story, Namor takes Shuri deep into the ocean, and this is a pretty cool scene.
He also explains that's where he gets his name, which was hard.
Oh, yes.
He was just they called me the child without love, which is where I get my name. And then in your head you start going, oh, Namor, Amor Namor, without.
There's
love.
The Spanish name of it. The Spanish name of it, is Namor or something like that.
Yeah,
it was a weird thing because
no
I know.
Amor.
Yeah.
No love.
Yeah, and that was the whole thing. It was what a great it's name his name actually. It's a supervillain name. Yes. It's it makes sense. He's
because he does tell Shuri and Ramonda when they first meet that hey, my enemies call me Namor.
Yeah.
But yes, so he does bring Shuri deep into the ocean and to show him the kingdom of Talokan, and this is a super cool scene because. He puts her in a suit because her body can't take the pressure of the water.
There's so many things that will fucking kill you. He's the pressure will kill you, the temperature will kill you, this, and this. He's so. Yeah. But we had a suit. And that was, again, it's stupid Marvel funny, but it was. It also is kind of everything's so serious and regal and all the shit, and he's oh yeah, we have suits.
They space out the comedy in this movie so well. That you don't feel overwhelmed, and you're not oh god, another.
And he's not
joke.
going on some crazy villain monologue and then doing it. He was just kind of telling his backstory. They're being very cordial and he's being friendly, and then he's oh yeah, we got a suit. Don't worry about it. I could take you down there if you want to see it.
In the underwater shit is we said earlier, it's fucking awesome.
Aquaman, it makes Aquaman look so much better than Aquaman underwater. It looks awesome.
Yeah, it looks really really cool, and you feel as claustrophobic as fucking. I feel claustrophobic when I watch the movie. And I'm not claustrophobic, but they do these really cool shots where it's just the depth of the ocean is just black.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of light.
And the only thing you see in the center of the frame is Namor and Shuri floating there. And you're God damn. It's just so
There's another thing.
big.
It's the bad guys in Aquaman were so scary, those creature things from the deep. Yeah. But it's these guys are scarier in a way of the world they built. It's god damn, you need to take notes of this and fucking put that in your Aquaman movie, man. This is how you do underwater culture.
In this nation of Talokan it's much like Wakanda. Mm-hmm.
It's just underwater and more Mayan versus African roots.
It's less techie, yes. It's less techie as well. They don't have the technology that they have because
no, but they still have crazy vibranium everywhere and these things that give off light and all this shit.
Vibranium
it's not
heals.
Dumb. Yeah,
vibranium heals. So they haven't really had any death in a long time either. But Namor asks Shuri. He brings her back up to the surface and they're talking. And Namor asked Shuri, he's like, hey, become my ally. I need to know that Wakanda's on my side if I ever need you guys.
Yeah, he has a good point of being like, look, you guys are like basically the same as us. We're both just trying to do our thing and protect our own. Like, if we just are on the same side, if the like humans, quote unquote, come for us, like
the surface world,
we're
is what he keeps
fucking
calling
fine.
them,
Because like, yeah, you guys live on the surface world, but you're also in your own little fucking hideaway bubble.
Yeah.
So like, we're just trying to do our own thing, and we're way stronger together versus everyone else. Because like, eventually the whole world is going to come for us, kind of thing. He's again,
he uses that specifically, and he says the world's going to come for Wakanda. They're going to come for your vibranium, and if you become an ally with me, Talokan will be right next to you, and we will fight them together. We will kill them together. Very vengeful motherfucker. This
but again, it's like you start to feel that like supervillain tone, but you also he's got like legit points to everything where he's like, look, like I didn't ask for them fucking to come looking for vibranium. Yeah. Like now they're knocking on our fucking doorstep, and how these motherfuckers act because I've been around for centuries to see this shit. Like, they're going to just come and try to take everything and ruin everything we built. And I'm not going to let that happen because I'm the fucking protector of my people. And I also saw fucking conquistadors come in and kill everyone back in the day. It's that traumatizing child moment of like, I'm not letting that happen to my people again. So either get on board or take the noble route. But then when shit hits the fan, like, we're going to fuck you up too. Because we're not risking anything. And I like you, so be a friend. Or don't, but figure this shit out because it's much smarter if you just go along with the plan. Yep. And he's got a lot of good points. It's kind of like he's a bad guy. He's clearly got some issues, but at the same time, like he's really just trying to like be like, leave me alone in my goddamn ocean. Don't touch the goddamn vibranium. Like, end of story, and we're good. Yep. So it's very, very interesting, man.
He like I said, he says if they come for you guys, Talokan will be next to you. And you kind of get this sense that he's nice in a way. Like they're having a very good conversation where
there's no like super evil tone to him. Yeah. He's like literally like, look, this is what I'm trying to do, man.
Yes, and this is where.
But you just know he's gonna do.
And this is where he gives the bracelet to Shuri.
Yeah,
this is another part where you're like, oh, he
gave his fucking mom's probably one of the last things he has from his mother.
Yeah.
To this stranger as a token of like, hey, let's unite the fucking nations. Yeah. You're royalty, I'm royalty.
He says
let's
that
figure this out. Dude.
You're the first surface person who's ever gone down to Talokan. This is
and Shuri loves it too. She's like, this is an incredible place.
Yeah, she's like the air the air is different here. Everything here is so pure. It's fantastic. Mm-hmm. Shuri tries to make a deal like, hey, we can be allies, but you don't kill Riri. Don't kill her.
She's like, let us take her. Like,
we'll watch her.
Yep.
She will not become anything of a threat to you. She won't be able to give her shit to the not Americans, but the surface world
or whatever. Yep.
And they will never find you. It'll be fine. We'll protect you. And Namor's not having it. No. He's like, nah, this is not how it's going to go down. Nah. I'm going to kill her. While this is happening, Nakia is above on the surface world, and she says, I found a reading on her Kimoyo beads, and they go to a cave underwater. And Ramonda says, get her at all costs. I don't care what it takes. Get her now.
Yeah, and she kind of is like, I'll create like a distraction in a way to get Namor like away from there, because everyone knows by now like Namor's the one that's the problem. Like, he's the big dog around. So like, if he's away, everything's gonna be a lot easier.
Exactly. So she uses the conch shell to call Namor. Yep. And while that's happening, this is, Namor leaves, and Nakia goes into the cave to rescue Riri and Shuri. Mm-hmm. And while she's doing that, she hurts one of the Talokan women in the process.
Who's a total, like, normal casualty. Like, she's not like
she's not a warrior.
She's not trying to do anything shady. She's like a caretaker kind of person, and just gets fucking like.
I mean, she does hold Shuri in front of her as a hostage type thing.
Yeah, but
and Nakia's like, drop your left arms, and she shoots her with like this sonic wave thing, which Nakia doesn't believe that she's hurt her. She knows she's hurt, but she's like, it's not going to kill her. There wasn't a fatal shot from the distance that I was standing.
She said that was
fatal. Oh, she does say it was fatal.
That's what because right away Shuri's like, give me the beads. I'm going to fix it. And Nakia says,
you can't
that's a fatal shot. This is a dead cause. We need to go now.
You're not going to be able to save her.
And that's why they pull Shuri away, because she wanted to save her, but Nakia was like, I kind of did that bitch in. Like, there's no reason to spend all this time.
Gotcha. I thought she was hurrying up because she's like, no, she'll be fine.
Yeah,
let's get out of here.
She was saying she's too far gone. We need to just dip because this is going to be bad now.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, because Shuri's like, we need to save her because this is going to lead to war if we don't do it.
Well, and that's
need to save her.
Yeah, and she's just like, this isn't going to be good. Namor's going to be pissed if he kind of sees this, which that's that first inkling of like, like Namor, like we forget Namor's been this nice guy and all that, but like
there might have been a chance to get through this shit, and now it's like he just killed one of his fucking people.
Correct.
No way he's coming back now.
Absolutely.
So Nakia pulls away Shuri, and they get away. They get picked up by the tractor beam that Tyler fucking loves, and then Namor gets back.
Yeah, because he has a talk with the queen, and basically he tells her the same shit where he's like, look, I'm going to tell you one more time. You either get on page with us or I'm fucking wiping out Wakanda. Like, they're going to be the first ones because you guys are the biggest threat now. So, like, that's the last time I'm saying this shit. See ya. And then goes back to his place and finds Homegirl, like, bleeding out.
Yeah. And she dies.
And you can tell he's like, this is the first death they've had in a while. He's kind of like...
The other person's like, is she dead?
Yeah, they're very shocked. Like, this isn't something that you... Like, every life matters in a way. And so it's a big deal that this chick passed away. And you have that moment of where, like, you just woke the bear up. Like, this is exactly what Namor told you kind of not to do. And, like, what he was scared of. And now, like, he's coming.
And he wastes no fucking time because
fucking coming, dude.
The next few scenes are Shuri gets reunited with Ramonda and she's super happy they're back, and then we're back in Wakanda and Okoye and Nakia are talking. They're reunited. You know, they haven't seen each other in a while, and while they're talking, the streets start to flood with water.
Yep.
And you're like, oh shit. And Okoye calls her right away. She's like, we're under attack. So these fucking... I'm assuming they're water bombs that are knocking out these fucking buildings.
Yeah, they're just like...
Because you don't really see the water bombs, but you know, like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
This is what it probably is.
And, like, water's just rising everywhere. Like, it's just... Things are just... The water level's insane.
All the Talokans are coming in... They're coming in slowly. There's not a ton of them.
It's like covert ops, kind of.
It is. And M'Baku is in a fucking... is in a boat, and he sees all this shit happening.
Ass, dude.
He starts whooping some ass for sure. He's knocking out some of Talokans, and... he's putting up a good fight. While this is happening, Shuri and Riri take to the sky. They're like, we need to start evacuating people. We need to get out. We need help. We can't just sit in here and hide. They realize quickly that Wakanda is just no match for Namor. Namor is just taking out planes.
He gets in a fight with fucking
M'Baku. He does get in a fight
and he punches him in the chest and just shatters his goddamn armor, like his big armor, and he snaps his little, like...
staff.
Rafiki like staff thing that he uses. He just snaps that, so it's like like any turtle thing when like when Raph comes in and gets his ass whooped right away. It's that whole like, oh shit. Well, he just took out the biggest dude in our thing. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what he does with M'Baku's taking out all the soldiers, then runs into Namor, and Namor just fucking bodies him, and it's like.
One fucking hit.
Shit.
Boom.
Like, oh no.
This is another comedic thing that they probably could have done without because it's kind of cheesy, but M'Baku's laying there and he's breathing like
yeah, like he got the wind knocked out of him. Like his chest plate is all like shattered and shit.
And
like,
he knows like, oh shit, I underestimated this.
The fish man got him.
Yeah. But so even with the aircrafts, like Namor just fucking everything up.
His little wing things are so overpowered. He just can turn on a dime and shit. He's crazy.
He's using his. They say that his spear is raw vibranium, and he's just cutting ships in half.
Yeah, it's just super strong. Yep. It's like this like mystical Mayan weapon, and he just is fucking.
Which I mean, everything
up.
In Wakanda is made of vibranium.
Yeah,
but
so
he's got
everything.
Raw vibranium, and it just cuts right.
So
through
that it's again, it's like how do we fight vibranium and vibranium? He just has vibranium plus. Like
while this is all happening, you know, like I said, Shuri is saving people. Okoye is saving people. Nakia is helping her out. Namor makes his way up to Ramonda's throne room where Ramonda and Riri are hiding at, and he blows the window up with one of these grenades.
Every time the grenades go off, it's just awesome.
And when he does this, the room below her is full of the water from the grenade, and Ramonda falls into there, and so does Riri. they're both unconscious, but Ramonda comes to really fast, and she sees Riri sinking, so she grabs Riri, and they start making their way to the surface, and it cuts to Okoye, who is rushing up to the room, to this throne room, and she sees that Riri is out of the water. She still needs help because she's unconscious, but she also sees that Queen Ramonda is laying face down in the water. So she turns her over and she starts trying to revive her. She's using her Komoyo beads to try to defibrillate her on the chest. And this is where Nakia and Shuri comes in, and Okoye is like, don't let her into the room. She can't be by this right now. So the Dora Milaje are holding her back, and Nakia is trying to bring back Riri, which she is successful in doing. Riri comes to, she spits out the water, but Okoye cannot get Ramonda to come back. And it's so fucking sad because she's trying to bring her back, and she's like, please, mother, make it. She's calling her mother. She's like, make it through, my queen, my everything, basically. Like, there's no way you're dead now. It's very moving.
Yeah, it's like another one of those, like, damn, they killed another, like, prominent family member. You know, it's just for Shuri too. It's like, fuck, she lost T'Challa, now she lost her mom. It's just like, that's another big hit. And like a fuck, this is where like Namor starts to become like
he's
the bad guy, because he kind of walks in and is like, I told you motherfuckers this is what was gonna happen, so figure it out, take care of what you need to do as far as like burying your dead and shit. And he's like, and fucking now, you know, like, make your goddamn decision, or else next time I come back,
I'll be back in a week.
I'm taking all of it out. It's all gone. If you want to play this shit again, we're fucking it all up, dude. And then he just dips. It's like very badass supervillainy of like,
you either decide to be my ally or I'm gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, I asserted my dominance. Like, this is what I can do, and I did this fairly fucking easily. So your choice, your ball. Like, and it's cool.
Yep, it is, because he says, you are the queen now. Mm-hmm. He also says,
yeah, he kind of like basically is like, yeah, I killed your mom, but now the decision's on you. And we had a good conversation about this, so there's no excuses.
You know where I'm sitting.
There's no excuses if you're the one that are like, we can't do this. Like, it's your fucking decision. Yep. So it's pretty heavy, like, supervillain type shit, and I love it.
We cut to the next scene, which is a funeral for Ramonda, and it is a more condensed version of what we saw from the beginning of the film.
Which I'm glad. T'Challa. Like, we don't need another fucking, like, we get what happens when royalty dies.
We get the scene in, like, the woods where the casket's there, and her casket's very different. It's like a side profile of Queen Ramonda wearing her, that fucking hat or whatever you want to call it, on her head. The Dora Milaje take the casket out, and M'Baku comes up to Shuri to console her. And he's like, I promised T'Challa that I would be here for you whenever you needed it. Big brother consoling.
Yeah, well, he was kind of like, I didn't really like your brother, but I respected him, and he respected me, and I made this promise, and now that the queen's gone too, like, I have to let you know, like, whatever you need, I'm kind of in your corner. Yeah. Like, I'm kind of like, I've been the one, as much as me and your family have not gotten along, I've been kind of the one on your family's side this whole fucking time. Yeah. So if you need something from me, like, I'm kind of the guy to make this shit happen, because, like, I'm in your corner. Like, I'm still going to be in your corner no matter what's going on.
And because he also says, he's like, with you being queen now, we are part of Wakanda, and my people need to know what you're planning on doing.
Yeah,
like
and I need to know as well. M'Baku's, like, no bullshit. That's why I like him, too. He's very, like, we need to know what the fuck's happening.
Yep.
And, like, I think I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but I don't remember in the notes when it really comes up, but it's M'Baku that's talking about it. But he's the one that's talking about, like, when they're talking about defeating Namor and all that, he's the one that clearly is like, look, these people think he's a god. If we just go in and kill a god, we are going to fucking open Pandora's box that we have never wanted. Like, you can't just go kill the god of a people and expect no one's going to give a shit about that.
Yeah.
And they don't mention it much, and there's not much that's on that, but it's like, it shows you M'Baku's mind is very much like,
wheels are turning.
Like, there's a lot of consequences for all this shit, and, like, you need to really think about how you want to approach this, because if we fuck this up anymore, we're going to have a way, way bigger problem on our hands. And that's why I just love M'Baku in this movie, because he's just so on point at all the times. But he's never like, we need to do this. He's very much like, this is what's going to happen. Whatever you call, I'm there. I'm going to do whatever you want, but just so you know, There's repercussions to all this shit.
Yes. He insinuates all these things, and Shuri just isn't sure. She's like, without a protector, I'm not exactly sure what Wakanda's going to do. And M'Baku says, well, you know what? I can't tell you what to do, but I think that, we should evacuate Wakanda. We can provide shelter in the Jabari tribe.
Probably like go chill in the like panic room in the mountains for a little bit,
yeah,
and like regroup because we don't want to be on the fucking body of water at the moment. Like,
yes. So while this is happening, Agent Ross is at his house, and Valentina is there, and she's like, I know the Komoyo beads were there. I bug them. I've heard every conversation you've had with Ramonda, and now you're a fucking
accomplice to a terrorist.
That's
kind
the word
of
I'm looking
thing.
for. Yes, you're accomplice. So here's your cuffs. Put them on. You're coming in with us.
Yeah.
We jump back to Wakanda, and Shuri's in her lab, and we get kind of a montage at this point.
Yeah, this is like we're all preparing for
the worst,
fight.
Really. Yeah, we know we got to fight, but what the fuck are we gonna do?
Yeah.
In this montage, we see that Shuri's working on the suit that she was talking about at the beginning, and she actually finishes it and shows it to Okoye and says, like, hey...
She tells, like, the name of it.
Yes, it's the Midnight Angel suit. And she's like, I know you don't like it, but this is what's going to give us the edge over Namor.
Yeah, she's basically like, I get you don't like it and it goes against traditions, but this thing's going to fucking keep you alive.
And
like,
you're not the Dora Milaje anymore.
Yeah.
So you're not wearing this because you're as a Dora Milaje, you're wearing this as Midnight Angel.
Yeah,
at this
like
point.
this is your suit to kind of do with what you want. And,
Yes.
and Okoye for the first time is kind of like, she kind of takes it in and she's like, how many you got?
Yeah.
Kind of that idea of like, all right, I'm going to get some of my people will fucking rock the suits. It's like, okay. It's an ugly suit, though. I'm going to throw it out there. It's kind of, the helmet's what kills it for me. I like the, like, dread kind of Predator components.
I was going to say Predator,
but
and it
also gives me, like, Abe Sapien vibes when they leave, like, the like, when he's allowed out of the tank in Hellboy and has, like, his little, like, outfit on.
Yes.
It kind of gives me that kind of vibes.
Yeah. And
but
then it reminds me of the woman who does the opera singing, like the Fifth Element as well. Like, I'm just
again,
shit.
It just, to me, it could have been a little cooler. I don't know how to make it cooler. It just didn't hit exactly home for me.
So the CGI on it looks decent. I don't think it looks too fake. It looks like a real suit.
No, I just think
but
the
it looks like a
suit's
silly
weird
suit. Yeah, it's just a silly looking design.
It's a strange suit for me.
Yeah. In the scene, Riri's working on her own suit. She's trying to upgrade her Ironheart suit. They both come to the conclusion that we need to do something to stop Namor. What makes Namor powerful? And they're like it's water. Water's his power. We got to find a way to get him away from water.
Yeah, and even fucking like M'Baku makes the comment about like he's as strong as the fucking Hulk underwater kind of thing.
He does, yeah.
He makes that comment of like this dude's a fucking monster in water.
Yeah.
So they're starting to figure out like, oh, maybe if we take him out of water, because they put together pieces like, oh, before he does a big attack, he seems to dip into the water real quick before he shoots out kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's where they put the connection of like, oh, he like draws from that fucking water and then comes out and kind of uses that power. And as he is out of water, it dissipates. So he has to go back in and kind of...
It's the sun for Superman.
Recharge, exactly.
Makes him more powerful.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, we need to find a way to dehydrate him and take all the water out of the air, and we'll get him in a weaker state.
Mm-hmm.
So Shuri uses her next project is she's using the scans from the bracelet that she got from Namor because it had the plant that was used.
Correct. It's so old and so like OG that she's like, holy shit, if this has the real DNA, I could just recreate. Like, I've been missing the DNA strand. This is literally the DNA. They've just made it into a bracelet. And so she just kind of like does her little computer scan, and right away the computer's like, that's a match, dude.
She does some Wakandan shit that we don't really know, but we're like, okay,
right away all the green, all the things that have been red the entire movie turn green, and you go, oh, that must have worked.
She pairs it with T'Challa's DNA because she needs to know if it matches.
Correct.
And it, like you said, it's
like a 98% match or some shit like that.
And she's like,
print the fucker.
Print that shit. So she prints it, and then while this is happening, we also get to see that Riri rebuilds the vibranium detector because they're going to be using this in their fight against Namor.
Like it's a tool that they're going to use.
Yes. After they printed that, the heart herb,
3D print it, Wakanda style.
They do. They're like, whoa, we got to fucking test this out. So Nakia and Riri do the Black Panther ritual. They make it a drink, and Shuri ingests it. And while this is happening, and while Nakia is doing the ritual, she's calling out to Ramonda. She's like, come into the astral plane so we could see her and she could talk to you.
And we've always, we've seen what happens when you take this drink. We know what the astral plane is, and we know that, you go and talk to your ancestors and things like that. So we know that, Shuri's also looking this isn't a whole I'm trying to be the Black Panther ritual kind of thing. This is a more of I'm trying to get in touch with some of the fucking ancestors that led this before to kind of give me an idea of what the fuck to do. Because I'm not a leader. I'm not T'Challa. I'm not the fucking queen. Now I'm the one that has all this responsibility. I need a little bit of fucking guidance here.
And this is something that she didn't know what to expect because, like we had said earlier, she's a woman of science.
And she didn't believe it, too. That was the whole thing. Yeah. They all kind of push her hey, you should, and she's like, I'll fucking drink the thing.
Yeah.
But she kind of is thinking, nothing's going to happen.
Nope.
So maybe, whatever it does. But she's not expecting to go on this fucking, trip, but she fucking does go on a trip.
She does go on the trip. And this is one of my favorite shots of the movie, actually. So when she wakes up in this astral plane, she's underwater and she starts she needs air. So she comes up to the surface, and when she comes up to the surface and gets out of the water, her dress is completely dry.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, that's trippy.
This was fucking cool.
I agree.
I even said it to Zosha. I was like, look, her fucking dress is dry.
I noticed that as well. I was like, that's subtle, but that's cool mind tricks.
Yeah.
That's how do we make things look kind of weird? That's how you do it, because your brain goes, what?
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So when she gets out of the water, she is in the throne room, and we can see the back of the chair. And when she turns to the front of the chair, we see Eric Killmonger sitting there. A fucking cameo that I was not expecting at all.
This is what made me so happy. I knew he was going to show up in this movie. There's no way Ryan Coogler makes a movie and he's not going to show up, especially after T'Challa died. You know what I mean? The thing that made me so happy about this was in this moment I was like, thank God we're not going to get some bullshit Doctor Strange hole in the wall multiverse rip and Killmonger's going to come out and be
the Black Panther.
Some just bullshit that's what I was expecting. As soon as he started talking, I was like, oh, this guy's just in here for this scene. Yeah. You could tell right away. I was like, they hired Michael B. Jordan to come in for one day and be like, we need you to say some cold shit as the ancestor dude. You're not suiting up or anything. This is what's gonna happen, and it was perfect. It's
we're only gonna add a few little dimples on you. That's about it.
No fucking bullshit multiverse stuff. No alternate Eric. None of that. This is straight up. She met the wrong ancestor. The last ancestor she wanted to see was the one that is chilling for her to talk, and it was awesome because again, he's just on the most
what up, cuz?
Think about what I had in mind. And again, that's why I love Killmonger so much is dude speaks a lot of the truth. Again, Killmonger, Thanos, Namor for me, Namor, those guys are true anti-heroes where they're bad guys, but they're also people who really fucking believe in these causes where Thanos is more of a supervillain at the end of the day. He's genocide, even though he believes he's, straight up with it. But still, they have those anti-hero fucking vibes where they're we just see a different side of the coin, and it's a gross, ugly side, but let's be real. This is what gets results. And that's all Killmonger's about is
absolutely.
You want to fucking get your people killed, then keep doing it the way T'Challa was doing it. Keep doing it the way all this shit. And he just starts naming the losses.
He says the reason why you're seeing me right now as well is because you're driven by vengeance, which is the same thing that drove me. Yep. Your brother was too noble of a king. Your dad, killed his brother
by letting the man go. He let the man go that killed. T'Challa let the man go that killed his father because he's talking about Winter Soldier. Yeah, it's that kind of shit. He hits all the marks of look, your family makes a bunch of fucking mistakes, man. Yep. So you need
if it was under me, that shit wouldn't have happened.
None of that would have happened.
So he basically convinces her you need to rule shit like Killmonger rules shit.
It scares her though.
Yeah, because she realizes that the reason why she's seeing him is because they have the same drive as a ruler. Correct. And that's scary. That's
scary because he's a bad guy. Yep. Again, if you haven't forgot, Killmonger's a bad guy.
So Shuri wakes up and she's like, the fucking ritual didn't work. I'm pissed. And Nakia's like, well, who'd you see? And she goes, nobody. I didn't see anybody. She doesn't want to tell her.
Yeah, she doesn't want to admit.
Why would you want to admit that? So she's got these mannequins in her lab, and they're wearing the old Black Panther suit, and she fucking hits this she punches this mannequin and sends it flying across the room, insinuating.
And everyone stops for a second, and you're like, oh yeah, that fucking glowy plant also gives you superhero abilities.
Yes.
Like, duh, it's not just about talking with the family because you miss them. They give you the goddamn power of the Black Panther.
Yep.
So yeah, it's like, oh, she has him now.
So she comes to a table, and it's got T'Challa's Black Panther helmet on there, and she realizes, I gotta make my own suit.
Yeah.
We jump over to the Jabari tribe, and M'Baku's there, and
he's actually got a new suit too, and his suit's fucking awesome. It's very subtle, but he's got like his chest armor replaced because it was all cracked.
Yeah.
And it's now carved out to be a gorilla, and it's lined with fucking vibranium. So there's silver that like make a gorilla face in his fucking chest plate.
Oh shit, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, I noticed it like more watching like pictures and stuff that I've seen on the internet.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, his second suit after the one gets cracked, it's like the same kind of wood coconut looking material, but it's like a full blown like gorilla face, and it's lined with like vibranium.
You're like, that shit ain't gonna happen again.
It's dope. And then he's got his little cane back, but it's a full blown, like it's like a monkey paw holding the steel ball instead of just being a steel ball. And it's all made out of vibranium instead of like wood like he used to have. But it's a giant monkey fist like his gorilla.
I'll pay attention.
He's like, he goes like full like gorilla, like his tribe outfit. It's fucking awesome.
But he's talking to the council about what they're planning on doing next. And while that's happening, the ship flies overhead and it drops off.
And that's actually where M'Baka talks about, if we just kill him, because I couldn't remember. That's exactly where he goes, like, if we fucking kill, Ku Klux Klan, we kill a god, like, we're going to have a fucking issue on our hands.
Because Shuri comes out of this ship, and she does a superhero landing in front of everybody and shows off
that the full fucking
Black Panther suit is, the Black Panther's back.
Which, it's a pretty cool design, too. I think the new suit, it looks pretty good. I think it's a good looking suit, and I think the abilities that she blends in to like bring back her old like sonic hand cannon things, and how she blends that with the suit's ability of like, we all know it like absorbs energy and manipulates it. Mm-hmm. That was what was cool to see. Shuri kind of use that kind of technology within the Black Panther. It gave it correct. It gave it like this hybrid Black Panther suit where it wasn't just her like doing the old tricks.
Yeah,
so I did like it.
I loved it. I want the figure. I tried to find the
figure. And it's like a mix of like Killmonger's suit and
the
like
yellow.
It's got like the gold in it, and then it's got the like hardcore black and silver like T'Challa. So it's a cool kind of hybrid, and it's like more sleek. It's like a feminine version. It's cool.
It is.
It's like a sleeker version.
Well, she's a lot smaller than fucking.
Oh, she's so much smaller.
She's such a tiny girl.
It's cool.
But M'Baku says the Black Panther lives, and Shuri tells everyone that they have a new plan, and they are going to kill Namor. The Wakandans start to board the ships, and they're getting ready for battle. And Nakia again asks Shuri, like, who did you see? And she's like, I can't tell you.
Yeah.
They send out the signal from the detector, from the vibranium detector, because they know Namor is going to pick up on it.
They like convert the vibranium thing into like this sonar thing. Like that's what they
picks
take
it up,
and he like goes to it because he's like, oh, this is the fucking
same shit that happened before.
This is the
signal.
The signal thing. We need to get it. And then when they get close, she like flips a switch and it like sends out like a sonar beam, and it's like a Trojan horse type.
Yeah.
Where they're just like, fuck, and instantly they all are like crippled, and they're like, we need to get the fuck out of the water. Like, it's too loud underneath and all that. And it's like, oh shit, they're fucking they're drawing the water people out, dude.
So this is a cool fight scene between the Dora Milaje and the Jabari. They're fighting together.
Yep.
And they got their own fucking styles. They got their own styles and shit. It's really cool. Riri also has her new Ironheart suit, which looks like complete fucking garbage, like we had said earlier. Looks so bad. It looks like it looks like a fucking cartoon that was put into.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like,
it's not so much like the suit looks bad. Like I get that's what the suit looks like in the comics and stuff. It looks like a cartoon suit in a real quote unquote movie. It's like, where
it looks like they took something from Spider-Verse, jumped into this.
Like it's just like the budget went way south on that suit, because the Iron Man suit looks like a goddamn iron suit.
It's like, hey guys, take another month.
The suit
You
looked
push back
fucking
so many
terrible.
fucking movies. If you would have pushed this back to be a fucking December release,
It
we'd have
looked
been
bad.
cool with it to get a cool fucking Ironheart
I agree.
suit.
The Ironheart suit looked very, very bad.
But she brings the Ironheart suit because they know that it's going to be an advantage to stopping Namor, because Namor could fucking turn on a dime in the sky. Now she could do that as well. But it seems like Wakanda has the upper hand, especially with the new Black Panther joining, because she's helping the Dora Milaje. And this was one of the biggest problems I had. And Sam has something in the defense of this, but I was like, if they would have shown one scene in the beginning of this movie where like Shuri takes to like, for me to escape the situation, I need to go to my lab. But you know what? I also like to hit a punching bag every once in a while. I would have been cool with the fact that she could fight motherfuckers, but there's no background of that.
That's
so
fair.
I'm like, I don't get this. But Sam, in her defense, what is...
I said everything we know about Wakanda and their culture is that they are all warriors.
Yeah.
I'm like, every single one of them, in some way, shape, or form, although they have different like levels, skill levels, have been trained on hand combat.
I agree with that too, and I think just going from like fucking Game of Thrones or anything, it's like if you're part of royalty and like you're in a society that has like warriors and shit, all those dudes know how to sword fight magically.
They all go through training
when they're kids, some kind of thing, because it's again, you're a position of power, you have to know
defense
how to do this.
Yeah.
So like I think that's totally fair. Where again, I don't need also a scene telling me that.
No,
like,
I don't
it's
need a
almost one of
1980s
those, like,
montage of her doing the Rocky
I'm
shit.
okay with
like,
it. She does fucking whoop people's asses. She is fucking throwing down. So
and she does get the power of the Black Panther.
Yeah.
But I was
she
like,
got the
man,
power
I
of
was
the
like,
Black Panther, as well as think about all the pent up fucking rage inside of her too. It's a powerful thing.
yeah, but no, I agree. But I mean, she also can fucking ride a motorcycle like a goddamn.
that part,
you know what I mean?
well,
Like
that did
she's
throw
like,
me. I was like, who the fuck?
she all of a sudden
ride
can
a
jump
fucking
on that motorcycle and she's just gone. So like. I didn't think too much into that, but like it's a fair point to bring up. But again, it's one of those where like I'm almost glad I didn't get 10 more minutes of like that kind of shit, because we don't need that in the movie. Like that's what I like about this movie is there isn't a lot of like just bullshit that we have to get through like a lot of Marvel movies have nowadays.
Yeah, you don't have to suspend disbelief too much.
Correct.
But that was one thing.
That's fair.
That was one thing I was like, man, they would just show her like one scene, like, hey, put a punching bag in the background of the fucking lab.
Right.
Like she likes to just escape every once in a while. Like I just need a minute.
Right.
Hit some bags. Riri is up in the sky. She's trying to catch Namor. He keeps going higher, and he's losing. He's getting further away from water, so he's getting a little bit weaker.
Yeah,
and she's
getting thinner.
Yeah, so she is able to shoot him, and he goes flipping into the air, and Shuri catches him in her ship.
Yeah, on her plane.
And she's made a thing inside there that will take the...
It's like she's got
doesn't take the air out of there, but she's basically...
She's got a heater.
It's an evaporation system.
She's just got like a fucking super dehumidifier where she just like... It's got like heat lamps, and just like you can tell it's just sucking all the moisture out of the air, so it's like really, really hot.
Yeah.
And it's affecting him differently than her because he just relies on that moisture in his skin so much, more than like a normal person does.
Yeah, so she jumps into the ship with him, and she's kind
of like, "What's wrong? Like, you hot? Or you thirsty
she's taunting
or whatever?"
Him. She's like, "Oh, I need some water, motherfucker."
Because he's struggling. He's like weak, like can't even like stand at first. He's like really trying to acclimate what the fuck is going on.
He's never had this shit before.
Yep.
But she tells the AI, she's like, "Hey, get us to the desert fast."
Yeah, because he starts like kind of getting pissed, where he's like, "All right, like."
I'm gonna fuck the ship up.
He starts using his raw vibranium to destroy everything.
Yeah, he starts cutting up the ship, and she's like, "Fuck,
go to the desert, dude," which is a great move.
And while this is happening, Shuri calls Okoye, and she's like, "Hey, bring that Midnight Angel suit over here because we need it now." Mm-hmm. So she gets a rematch with Atuma, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's kind of a bullshit fight, but you know that
it's gonna happen.
We need to have that rematch. And then Riri fights Namora is her name.
Yeah.
She's like the big...
She's the other lieutenant.
Talokan.
There's two lieutenants.
Female governor.
She's got like a flower headdress thing.
Yeah. But she's fighting her. Namor, like you said, he's fucking up the ship, and it does crash land like right on the edge of the desert, and there's a beach right there. So you're like, oh shit. Once Shuri's away, the Wakandans think they've won, so they start to kind of retreat because Riri does fuck up Namora, and they're about to retreat. and the ship fucking blows up.
Yeah, they hit it with like a million of those.
Yeah, they bring in like a fucking fisher's net.
Yeah, and it just release it of all of those water bombs, and you already know what one does. So when you see, and they like don't even show it blowing up the ship, but like they just show this net of 1,000 of them like starting to release, and then they cut to like the ship like
above ground,
above
water
and you
level,
know like, oh no, like that's gonna be a big wave, and
so this
just fucks the ship.
So
up.
all these bombs, they fuck the ship up. It starts sinking very slow, and now it's back to Talokan has the upper hand again.
Yeah,
so now they start taking
the water.
Yeah, they're taking motherfuckers out. They're getting deeper in the water, but they're holding them off. They're trying to hold them off the best they can. Namor and Shuri are fighting on the beach.
Pretty good fight.
Yeah, Shuri whoops his ass because he's weak, but she whoops his ass.
It's a pretty good fight in general, just like exchanging blows and like doing some kind of cool superhero shit and like Black Panther move type stuff. It's a good fight.
Yeah, I like it. I fucking love Shuri as a Black Panther. Like, it's not taking anything away from T'Challa, but I really liked Shuri as a Black Panther.
She's cool. I think anyone in that suit is gonna be fucking badass when you're fighting like that. Like even in the first movie, fucking the Killmonger versus Black Panther fight, that was dope as fuck.
I really expected an expectation I had of this movie, or just something that I was predicting. I was like, man, I'm like they're gonna get that herb going, and they're gonna give it to multiple people. What's to stop them from giving it to more people? Right. It could work for. I'm like, she's gonna have a whole.
I don't know fucking Wakandan culture and thought. I don't know how that shit works.
I'm like, well, what does she care?
Have a Black
She's a
Panther
fucking scientist,
army, dude. I'd be mass producing that.
They'd have fucking killed them all.
Again, the good Lord, if you believe in him, will never give me fucking powers because I'll use them for terrible things, dude.
I'd be a bad guy as well.
I'd be a fucking terrible guy. I'd make a lot of money.
Oh man. In the middle of this fight, or not, towards the end of this fight, Shuri gets the spear right through her stomach. She gets impaled into this rock or whatever the fuck she gets impaled into, and she's stuck there. And Namor starts heading to the water.
Back to the water. And he's struggling too. He's really struggling.
He's about to fall over and just walk. He can't even walk straight. Shuri gets another vision, and it's really just a continuation of the astral thing that she had with Killmonger.
It's that like time. Idea of like you're close to death, you start visioning kind of things.
Yeah.
That's like what happens to her.
And he tells her like, get that shit. I would have, no matter what, even if I was in your position, I'd have had his ass still.
Yeah, exactly.
So she's like, that's what she needs. That was the motivation she needed to be like, fuck this spear. I'm going to get him. Even if I end up dying, I'm going for him. Yeah. He's coming down with me. So she breaks the spear. She goes after Namor, and when she gets on the other side of like, her ship is there and it's crash landed like we had said earlier, and so there's the ship on one side and Namor's right in the middle and Shuri's on the other side.
He's like a foot from the water.
Yeah, like she puts her hands on her chest as a Wakanda Forever and breaks it. And the fucking
it fucking turns like the thrusters on. The exhaust just fucking go off and just fry Namor. Like his worst nightmare is just like being encompassed in all this fire where he's nowhere near. His skin is now dried out. It's charred and shit. Like he
burns the fuck out of his back.
Just fucked. He's fucked. Yeah. It's like the final. He's just laying there like burnt his fucking his back, just laying there like completely tapped out, has no like water in his system.
No.
Defeated, like, ready for the final blow kind of shit.
So she finds a spear, and she puts it to his neck, and looks like she's going to kill him, and she has one more astral projection. One last astral projection, and this is when she sees her mother.
Yeah.
And her mother says, like, look, this is not who you are.
Yeah, it's basically like, yo, your cousin was wilding out, dude. Like, I understand.
It's the Mufasa, remember who you are.
Yeah,
like, show him that
we're better than
this. So she puts the spear down, and she does a really, really cool callback. I love this callback because she says that vengeance will not consume them anymore. And this is a cool callback because at the end of Civil War, T'Challa doesn't let Zemo kill himself. And he also doesn't kill Zemo because he says, vengeance has consumed those men down there. I won't let it consume me anymore. So the fact that she says, vengeance will not consume us or consume me anymore, I thought was really cool. It's just a nice callback that, she is like her brother.
Yeah, she said, vengeance has consumed us. We can't let it consume our people.
Yes. She lets Namor live under the circumstance that he yields.
Yeah, she's basically like, you got to stop and you got to get the fuck out. Like, I have no problem kind of being the protector of like your people and helping you guys out. Look, Wakanda will be kind of allies kind of thing. But like this fucking bullshit stops now. Like, done deal.
Yeah, she says to him, like, we could be allies, and I will be there for Talokan. Wakanda will help you guys, and vice versa, but we will not attack first. So he yields.
Yeah,
And
he knows.
This is something I wasn't expecting. And from the bad guy that I was expecting and hoping that he was, and this is the part that kind of stunk, because you know that Namor is the villain of this movie, but from what I know in the comics, I believe he is a hero.
I think he turns. I think he is like a true. He's like a anti-hero in the sense of like he does like
he goes back and forth,
kind of like that Venom. Like he cares about his fucking people. It's like if like
I get it.
Whatever side of the coin situation is benefiting his people. That's the side he's about to play, because he's really just like a king trying to fucking do his shit.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is why I like when you see him for like the final time in the movie.
Yeah.
That's because again, I felt the same way. I was like, again, I like the anti-hero of this, but it was like, man, another like big ass cool villain like Gore who just was like, all right, man, I lost. This is how it is. I lose, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like I want to see that villain fucking take it to the goddamn end of like.
And this was also going the route of like Killmonger. So at the end of the first movie, he's like, I'll let you live. And he's like, fuck you. He's like, I forgot what his quote is in that movie.
Oh, he's like, yeah, I'd rather
I'd rather die like this than live in fucking like a slave or whatever the hell he says. And I thought this was going that direction, and she was going to end up killing him because he wasn't going to yield.
And he does it. He takes the fucking deal, which again, it was a moment of like, ugh. But it works because
yes, we'll get to that. And so he does yield. And she ends up bringing him to the ship where Talokans and her people are fighting, and Namor stops them all. He's like, no.
Well, because the Wakandans are about to lose. Like, they're getting fucking, like, cornered to the edge, and, like, there's a lot more Talokans than there are, like, Wakandans left. So, like, it's a bad situation that, she shows up, and Namor just steps out, and he's like, we're done. And instantly, they all just fucking stop what they're doing. That's what's also cool. It's like the king fucking
right in time.
The king spoke, and as soon as he was like, "Hey, we're done," no one fucking did a thing. They were like, "All right, dude, we're going back in the water, dude."
Yeah.
Namor spoke.
Did you want to know the quote?
Yeah, it's a badass quote. You can always save it.
It says, "Just bury me in the ocean with my ancestors that jumped from the ships because they knew death was better than bondage."
Yeah, that was it.
It was fucking dope.
It was wonderful. So the fight is done, and we get the aftermath now. In this, Shuri sends Riri back home, but she says, I can't give you your suit, but this is good because I don't want anyone to come after you for your shit. Mm-hmm. So instead, she does give her the car that they fucked up because it was her dad's car. And she says, it's all the original parts. It took a while, but we got everything back to normal. In Talokan, Namor is in his cave and he's painting.
I loved the painting. Like, he's painting his own like fucking story of like, because you know, like Mayan culture and all like hieroglyphics, that kind of shit. That's all over everywhere in Talokan. And in his throne room, he's now painting him fighting a fucking panther, and it's like him writing the story of what just transpired for his people to know for centuries on, like for stories to be told. And it's that whole like God mythology thing, and this is where I feel like Thor can take a chunk out of the book.
Okay.
They made Namor feel like a god, like a god of his people, even if he wasn't a god in the sense of like, in Thor Love and Thunder they're making fun of it, but we see Zeus, we see all these gods, and they have like this lighter tone to them where none of them feel like true gods to me. Namor in this, it felt like he was a Mayan underwater fucking god. Yeah. He was that guy. And I think Thor could benefit of taking a little bit more of that like blending of like really real mythology and like making that work in the world instead of just being like, oh, this is Zeus that we know and he's actually like this funny guy that does, you know what I mean? Like everything's a fucking joke in Thor, and I know that's the point of Thor, but like you can approach godlike characters in great ways and pull it off, because like Namor was fucking proof. And he's even got his little like assistant where she's like, you fucking yield to the enemy, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah,
and he's
she questions
like,
his
and
ass.
he's kind of like, look, I know you're like, little human brain doesn't understand this, but like, I just cut the best deal we could ever hope for, because now we got allies, and like the ball's back in our court, because now they're off our fucking back.
Yeah.
And you get that idea of like, oh, he is a supervillain. Like he is like,
yes,
he survived the day, but he's just using this in his pocket for whatever he needs to next, because like this fight is far from over. And that's
he basically says that one day the Earth or the surface walkers are gonna come for Wakanda.
Yeah.
And because we're their allies now, we'll be able to fuck up the Earth walkers.
He's kind of like, who do you think they're gonna fucking call when they need help now?
Yeah.
And they're gonna owe us then.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, oh, Neymar's gonna come back. Like, and again, it's cool because like he took a loss. He took a fucking loss.
He took the L, yeah.
And he's mad, but he learned from it. And like, that's what's cool. He's smart.
So I'm sure we'll be seeing more of him, which we'll talk about later on. Ross is being transported as a prisoner, and the transportation stops because there's a tree in the middle of the road, and the guard gets out, and he's like investigating the tree that's laying on the ground.
It's kind of a
it's a stupid scene.
Yeah, it's just like
it's necessary to show that they're getting him out.
Yeah, but again, like
because so the guard gets out and he gets knocked out, and we see that when the door opens in the back, it's Okoye in the Midnight Angel suit, and she frees him. That's pretty much it.
That's all that really comes out of that.
Yep.
You just know Ross is free, and Okoye's still running around in that suit.
Yep. The Wakandans are on top of the waterfall. This is where they're at.
Fun. This actually made me laugh.
Zosha loved this scene too. But the Wakandans are on top of the waterfall. This is where they were doing like the fights that happened between
like
if you wanted to challenge the Black
ritual.
Panther, yes, and as well as the ritual. So they're having this ceremony, and I can't remember the woman's name, but she announces, she's like, oh, and here is Queen Shuri, and Shuri's ship pulls up, backs up to there, and stairs come out. And out from the ship is M'Baku.
It's M'Baku, dude.
And
he's just like,
it's funny. 'Cause he gets out and he's like, the queen sends her regards.
She will not be joining us today.
She will not be joining us. But I am here because I will be taking the throne per her orders, basically. Yeah. So this is something that's set up between them.
I'd like to challenge the throne, that kind of thing.
Which is cool because now...
And no one is like mad or anything. It's like it's really like, oh yeah, M'Baku like kind of earns this. Like when Shuri or whatever, when like someone's not there, like M'Baku should be the one that's fucking kind of the one in charge when no one else is around, because he's the only one that's keeping everything intact the whole time.
He helped guide her journey too, because even that moment when they were at the funeral, and he's like, "Yeah, I understand that, but that's not what your mother would want for you. She wouldn't want you guys to go to war.
She doesn't want you to kill you and all that shit.
She wouldn't want you to have a fight between both of our people forever to come, just because you want to take this guy out for killing your mom." And
so it's
he's
cool.
wisdom.
He gets like a promotion. He's like kind of like Wakanda's dude when the family's not there. The royal family, so to say, isn't there, which is only Shuri at this pretty much.
Which
he's goofy, but he's their voice of reason.
Oh yeah. And no one fucks with him. Everyone knows, like, if it comes down to a fight, he whooped everybody's ass but the Black Panthers. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, he is top alpha dog.
And just because you're the fucking king or queen of Wakanda doesn't mean that you have to hold the title of Black Panther.
No.
Correct.
Because T'Chaka was king. Correct. But T'Challa was the Black Panther.
Correct. And that's the whole thing. And that's the whole thing with Shuri is like, Shuri doesn't want, and she still doesn't want, like, she didn't want to be the Black Panther. That's her whole thing, is like, she took the mantle because they needed it at that moment. But this isn't like a whole, like, I've always wanted to be this, and now I'm finally getting to be this and all this. This is one of those of like,
at some point, she's going to give it up.
She is going to give this thing up as soon as she fucking can.
Which will be interesting, because I know that there was some shit surrounding this movie where they were possibly thinking of getting rid of Letitia Wright because of some things that she had said. So I'm not sure if this is their way out. We have a few more scenes before the end, but this is something that was concerning to me. Yeah. We go back to Shuri, and Shuri goes to Haiti to visit Nakia.
Yeah, because Nakia told her, like, at the end, like, hey, you should come to Haiti sometime if you need to, like, get away from all this. Yeah. Like, it's nice to get away from fucking Wakanda every now and then. Come find me. We'll always be sisters kind of bullshit.
Yes, Nakia tells her that everything's set up, and I'll be there in a minute. And we don't know what that is yet, but Shuri says, I think this is something that I should do by myself. Mm-hmm. So she goes to a fire that's lit at the beach, and she has her backpack with her, and out from the backpack she pulls her funeral garments, her white clothes, dress. And this is really nice because this is her moment of that she didn't have this closure earlier in the movie. But
she's finally ready to face it all.
Yes, she's ready for
say
this.
Say her piece.
And she puts her garments onto the fire, and this is one of the last times that I cry in this movie because this is such a good scene. And it's not just because we get these shots of Shuri and T'Challa. This is the first time we're seeing Chadwick Boseman's T'Challa in this movie, and it's very moving seeing him.
Yeah, it does again. One of those just like movie flashbacks where it just starts playing random kind of short snippets.
Yeah,
we don't get gifs, if you will.
Yeah, we don't even get the audio from. No, those
it's
scenes.
Just like running through her memory of like but it's just scenes that we've actually seen T'Challa in the MCU. So it's like us being able to play through our memories with her that we have of T'Challa. So it's just like
Amelia thought she went deaf during this part. She looked at me. She went, I can't hear anything. I'm like, it's okay. It's
Shut
supposed
up.
to be.
You're supposed to do. I'm like, it's supposed to be the thing.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm like,
please.
there's
ruining
no sound, baby. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with you. It's okay.
And I was crying, man.
It's powerful, but it's also one of those like everything's gonna be all right.
Yeah,
like it's that kind of feeling.
And if people who are listening don't know by now, I'm a crier. Yeah, I cry a lot in movies.
No, this was like I would be shocked.
I did not cry during Black Panther, but there's many scenes in this that's like that's heavy. Like that's a heavy.
Yeah.
I could see how, like, depending on where you're at and what has happened in your life or what you are, like, I could see how this really, like, kind of fucking fucks with you at certain points.
But, yeah, she cries and she sees relives these moments that with T'Challa and passing, and right before it cuts, she has this really nice quiver on her chin that I fucking loved. And then the movie cuts, it goes to black and it ends.
It's the key to a good fake cry. I have always said in acting is being able to make your lip and chin quiver. If you can do that,
I've watched you do that.
If you can do that, it'll sell the crying performance so much better.
Autumn, man. I watched you do it.
Oh shit, Jesus Christ!
I've watched you do it.
Yeah, that's true.
And as we all know, this is a Marvel movie. We're getting one more scene. This is a continuation of that scene. It picks up right where it left off, right where Shuri is crying, and Nakia walks up to Shuri at the fire, and she introduces a little boy. And this little boy is named Toussaint. Toussaint?
It's got like a French...
yes, it's Toussaint.
Toussaint.
It's Toussaint.
Toussaint, whatever.
Pissant.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, though. Yeah, it's pissant.
Pisson.
Yeah.
It's pisson.
Yeah, hilarious. But that's what it is,
so
like Toussaint.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
A beautiful moment brought to you by Corky Romano.
It's true, though, dude.
Fuck Corky Romano. But yeah, so she introduces this boy, and his name is Toussaint, and Nakia says, this is Shuri, this is your aunt.
And from the moment you see him, you know.
Oh, you know what's coming.
You know what I mean? Like, as soon as you see the little boy and her and Nakia holding him, you're like, oh, duh. But it's a cool surprise. And again, I'm not a big Black Panther like comic guy, so I don't know what the fuck happens or if this is something everyone saw a mile away and all that.
Yeah.
But for me, I was like...
I was surprised.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I was like, okay, so he's got a kid.
Yeah, because this is...
But what's even cooler is, like, the moments that wind up after that of, like, her instantly, like, Shuri's, like, aunt, and she's like
oh, yeah. So
did my mom fucking know kind of thing? Like, right away, like, what about my mom?
Did my mom
And right
know?
away, she's like, yeah, like, T'Challa told us he was sick first.
Yeah.
He also, this was his fucking idea to not go to the wake because he kind of thought, like, hey, my son having to inherit all this bullshit as the prince of the fucking throne is fucking irresponsible and just a crazy, weird position to put this little kid in. So, like, be the bigger person and remove yourself. So all of a sudden, all this time, you're like, oh, Nakia was just kind of being, like, an emo bitch about all this. Like, she was just following, like, the plan all along. And then you find out the queen had met the kid already. So, like, it's not like grandma met without her, didn't meet her grandson before she died. Like it's that
I'm
moment of
assuming she met her when she found her in Haiti, because when she asked her, "Oh, you were missed at the funeral or something." I
don't know. I think she was on board from the beginning, but she's a queen that like.
I think she was. I think that she had met this boy earlier in his life, but I don't think that Ramondo was completely in the know that T'Challa said, "Hey, don't bring him to my
Correct.
funeral."
I think so. I
can be okay with that.
No, I agree. I would agree with that too. But it's this moment of like we were doing everything that T'Challa wanted.
Yeah, his wishes.
This is what's his wishes, and like this is what it's all about. And then like the little kid, dude. Hey, he kind of looks like Chadwick a little bit. Yeah, he looks like a mini Chadwick, and he just kind of has that cute smile.
Yeah.
And then he just fucking is like, hey.
He's like, can you keep his... Well, they have a nice little bonding moment first. He gives her a high five, and I loved this scene because, like, I feel like in a way Shuri needed that high five.
No, yeah.
Like, it was just so beautiful. And then
he just like leans in. He's like, I hear you're good at keeping secrets. And she's like, yeah. He's like, well, I got a secret. And then leans in and is just like, my real name's T'Challa, dude. And it's just like, as soon as he says that, you're like, and he's like, like heir to the throne kind of bullshit.
Son of King T'Challa.
Yeah, that kind of thing, like heir to the throne. It's like, oh, like this kid knows. It's not some secret. Like, this is literally just like, Shuri's keeping it fucking warm until fucking mini T'Challa's ready to fucking take his rightful throne and like be the Black Panther. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like that scene for me was enough to be like, all right. Like again, I didn't really mind Shuri's Black Panther, but she's not Black Panther to me. No. Because she doesn't want to be. No. Exactly. And so it's like, don't force her into this new like Black Panther female role. Like, it worked for the story, but like if this now just comes to like, I was just keeping this shit.
Her passion is still in her technology.
I was trying to keep this shit at bay until fucking nephew's cool enough to like. That's it. Like, okay, like if we're gonna now see like a younger T'Challa, but it's just they're gonna age the little kid up, the next time we see them and all that. Like, I'm kind of down for that.
The screen does cut the black, and it says, "In dedication to Chadwick Boseman."
You do get a black. You get one more. At the very, very end, it says the Black Panther will return. Oh, like all the other Marvel bullshit.
I didn't even know that happened.
At the very, I sat till the very end thinking, maybe we'll get one more, and then
I googled if there was
fucking black screen, and it just does this. You know how it always is like,
Guardians will return.
It just says Black Panther.
Will return, cool. So. Well, wonderful. I didn't know that happened. Great. That's the movie, everybody.
Yep.
And we're going to hit some final thoughts. I have a few final questions here. When do you think we're going to see the Black Panther again? So Sam has a list right now of the movies that are intended to come out for, well, this was the end of Phase 4. So Phase 5 that's coming out and what they might have planned for Phase 6. Go through that order, Sam.
Well, we've got Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which is like...
Just
next week.
Yeah, don't worry about dates.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
He won't be in it.
Secret Invasion. Guardians 3. The Marvels. Ironheart. Loki. Agatha's show. Daredevil and Echo. Captain America: New World Order. Thunderbolts. Blade. Deadpool 3. Fantastic Four, Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, and Avengers: Secret Wars.
Depending on where they do Ironheart, where they pick that show up from, you'll probably get a lot of like Shuri and shit in that. I don't know if you'll actually get like Black Panther showing up like in the guard, but you'll get
some sort of Wakanda.
You'll get a lot of Wakanda shit in that. But other than that, I mean, they could. I hope that's the thing though. Is like I hope they don't just throw him into all this, or throw her into all this. Like I'm tired of everything. This felt nice because I didn't have to fucking worry about 7 other Avenger guys showing up. So it's like, just let that be. Like, because it's going to keep happening because that's what Ant-Man and Wasp, like, they're going to keep blending stuff. But, like, I don't need to see Black Panther for a little bit. And it's not because of Black Panther. It's I don't need to see a lot of these people show up in other people's movies. Just let them fucking tell their story.
Let them have their own standalone.
And that's why I said in my spoiler-free review that, like, this movie doesn't have a lot of Marvel tie-ins. Like the Valentina was like one of the bigger things.
I didn't even know that because I didn't see fucking. So I didn't know who that was.
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
okay.
Like I knew who. Like I got an idea right away of like, oh, this is what this bitch is about. But I didn't know she was like from Falcon and Winter Soldier.
But I think this sets up more things like Namor, and it's going to set up the Talokan and shit like that. However, I think that maybe we'll see Wakanda again in the Thunderbolts movie because so Valentina, I believe, is the Amanda Waller who sets up the Thunderbolt people.
Yeah.
And I think that they're going to be going after Vibranium. So that's the only thing I can think of. And maybe that's how they're going to bring Wakanda back into it.
But again, if you want to bring Wakanda in or like a character here and there, that's cool. But like, I don't need to see fucking Black Panther showing up and saving the day for a while.
No idea. Like, I mean, if they go the route of that, I would imagine the King Dynasty. So if the King Dynasty is supposed to be the next thing that brings all the Avengers together, I would imagine that that's when we're going to see her again.
It's like bringing fucking.
It's our end game of these Phase 4 and Phase 5,
which I'm fine with. Like, give me breaks from characters. I'm tired of them all showing up and having to be in every single movie.
We will be seeing Ironheart again in the Ironheart series. We're probably going to be seeing Ross again at some point in maybe the Thunderbolts as well, or maybe Secret Invasion. I was
going to say Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion, maybe, depending on like what they do, though. That's the
maybe
whole
he'll
thing,
show up with his. I don't think he's ever interacted with Nick Fury, but I know Nick Fury is going to be coming back for one of those, like Secret Invasion
General
or something.
Ross is going to be the big one in Secret Invasion and Thunderbolts.
Or Thunderbolt,
So like, I mean, that's the thing. Is
maybe we'll see Agent Ross as well, and then Namor. I'm not sure when we're going to see Namor again.
I don't know. Sure he's going to come back.
I'm not sure if they're going to be setting up. I'll kind of be disappointed if he's the villain of Black Panther 3.
Correct. I don't think he will be, but I think he will end up coming back in like a big way.
The fact that
the next time we see him, he's gonna be ready to go.
We haven't had many recurring villains outside of Loki and like.
But we don't Thanos, also get a lot of villains that actually like survive and walk away, like told like, hey, yield, just go the fuck away, and we're not gonna bother you. It's either like we're arresting you, or they end up dying, or they end up like fucking, something like that.
Like Scarlet Witch is the last villain that she's not fucking dead under
Correct.
that rubble.
You know what I
she
mean?
got away. I don't know when we're gonna see her again.
She's like a fucking hero too.
I hope they have a plan for her.
So yeah, it's one of those Namor will pop back up for sure. And it'll serve the story, I want to say.
Like maybe even in King Dynasty, maybe he's like, hey, I need more bad guys.
Yeah, I mean, he could be just like the dude of the water that like anytime you're in water in the MCU, you got to like worry about Namor. Start like thinking about that. If he's starting to like hit random, like he could become that guy if they want to build him up as more of an anti-hero and let him do his own kind of shit. They could easily be doing that where it's just like if you're in the MCU and you're by water, like.
Would you want a Namor movie?
I don't know.
I don't.
I don't think
I didn't really care for Namor.
I like him, but I didn't like him enough to get it like a movie. I'm tired of every asshole and
every anti-hero.
Not even anti. Just everybody who is somewhat of a character now gets their own TV show or movie.
Oh yeah,
and I just don't think that's really how that shit goes. Like,
no, it shouldn't.
So
I agree.
Yeah.
Any expectations that maybe weren't met? Would you change anything about this? Would you?
No, I mean. I'm fine. I'm fine with it, and like I said, I'm fine with how it was. I still am in the camp that I would have rather seen him be recast and just get a legit Black Panther 2.
It definitely would have been interesting to know what the original script of this movie was. That'd be pretty cool.
That too. I'd still like to see him fight Namor and shit. I still think it works because the whole story is about vibranium at the end of the day, which is a very important resource in the MCU. So it all made sense at the end of the day, but like. I was okay with it. I was happier than I thought I was going to be honest. So without being like, oh, this is the best movie ever. Like I was like, oh, okay,
yeah,
it's all right.
Like I had said earlier, like my first viewings are always something that I'm never too sure because I really enjoyed the shit out of Multiverse of Madness, and then after a few weeks, I was like, maybe I didn't like it as much as I thought I did.
Same way.
But this is one of those movies, and I'm like, you know what, I kind of. Am pretty happy with this movie. I
was all right.
I wasn't let down very much. I
was good with it. Again, I said that earlier, but I'm good with this compared to like the recent Marvel shit that's come out.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Like, and if you've watched all the recent Marvel stuff, you've seen everything. You know what I'm talking about. Like, there's been a decline in my opinion in a lot of things, and this one felt like a better version of it though. Like it's better than Thor.
MVP of this movie,
M'Baku, bro.
M'Baku?
Yeah. Okay. I love him. Every scene. He's like what's his name? The rock guy from Thor.
Korg.
Yeah.
It's same. It's just like a kryptonite. It's just like I love him. I love him, and I think it is because they're not super like hold down the weight of the whole movie. They pop in their scene, they kind of say their shit, and it's great characterization. And I really like, but I like Namor too. Again, I didn't think he was like the ultimate like badass villain of all time, but I think he was written extremely well. Like his character made sense with his cool backstory and the Mayan tie-ins. Like he said he was a mutant. Like all that shit adds up. Like so, but M'Baku, I think for me was like he just was solid every time.
Yeah. Sam and I have the same one. Everyone's on Angela Bassett's dick right now. I really enjoyed her.
But Winston Duke was my number 2 for sure.
Yeah. I did enjoy Shuri, and Shuri was somebody who. At the beginning of the movie, I was like, okay, you got a lot of fucking... Because it was no surprise that Shuri was going to be the next Black Panther.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, I don't think that was ever in like,
the only thing that threw me off is when the makers of this had tweeted, like, hey, everyone's guessing that she's the Black Panther, but there's more to the story. And I was like, oh, shit, maybe there's going to be more Black Panther. That's where I got that. I was like, oh, there's going to be multiple Black Panthers in this movie. And then it didn't happen. But I was like, okay, we all knew Shuri was going to take up the mantle. So I knew she had big shoes to fill, but from the beginning of the movie, I was like, okay, she's good. By the end of the movie, or even in the middle, like she gradually got better for me. I was like, okay, I like her acting. She's doing a great job. By the end of the movie, I was like, yeah, I'm sold on Shuri now. I really like Letitia Wright, and I'm not exactly sure the drama behind her character or not her character, but the drama behind the actress. But I hope to see more Shuri. I don't need a lot of her, but I hope to see more Shuri in the future. Stan Lee cameo. I like to ask this question for Marvel films. Do you guys have a spot where you would like to have seen the Stan Lee come up?
Yeah, I think the most natural place without like doing like some weird thing of having him like as like a weird teleclon type like old guy. I think it's just like on the MIT campus. You could have easily made him a professor. You could have made him fucking anybody in that campus.
Could you imagine
like
if he was like,
someone
hey,
you like,
got my homework, like talking to Riri?
No, like if Okoye was sitting on the bench trying to blend in because she was claiming like, I can blend in, I'm so normal. But like Stan Lee kind of is like, who the fuck are you? You know what I mean? Like something like that.
That'd be good.
I think he would have just worked in the MIT thing to have one of those bullshit like funny Stan Lee kind of things. Yeah.
You got one, Sam?
Yeah, I tried to mix it up. Like, I know he's a lot older, but how they had the 2 guys in the van transporting... what's his name? Bilbo Baggins.
Ross.
I'll say in my mind, he's just Bilbo. When they're transporting Ross and they get to the tree, like, I would put him, like, maybe in the back of the van with him. Like, he's just, like, watching him. Like, he's just the eyes on him. So that way when the doors bust open, he just kind of, like... takes his glasses off and rips them and throws them and goes, I didn't see anything. Just take him. Like, just take him. I didn't see anything.
Don't whoop my ass. Yeah.
Like, I'm not about to mess with that.
Okay, so the one that I had was that he would be on the bridge when Ross comes to investigate the scene. And he would kind of make a big scene about it just to Ross. Like, nobody would be around. But he would see the... the beads, the Kamoyo beads, and he would go, what are those? Right before Ross picks them up. And that would have been a nice callback to the first film where she says, what are those? About the sandals in her lab. I'd be like, that'd have been pretty funny to me. How do you guys feel this goes as far as the MCU tier? Like, we don't have to go 1 through 2, 3, 4, 5. But do you think it's like a top tier, middle tier movie?
I think, like I said, it's better than the last few Marvel movies that I think have came out for me. Like I said, Monsters of Madness is very close to this. I have to watch that again to really kind of assess that. But they're both very close. But I still think like they're lower mid tier.
Okay.
And, like, I don't think we've hit like back into that high tier like Marvel magic really yet. It's a good movie. It's a good sequel, but it's not up there for me. It's better than recent, but it's still not back to that like oh shit Marvel kind of thing yet. My tiers, I'm gonna put it in the upper middle. So I'm not sure how many movies there are exactly, that's
but
the thing. It's just
I'd probably put it in the upper middle area.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
MCU
lower
tier.
middle, like in that fucking area.
How about you, Sam?
I did upper middle just based on the acting and the heaviness alone. I like that it was a more serious
I do.
Marvel
I
movie.
really like. I want more serious Marvel
and
movies.
That's why I went upper rather than lower middle, because I'm like, it's just
that's fair.
It's the movie's not a fucking joke, and that's what I like about it.
I did letter grade this one because as far as just movie goes, this is not MCU. This is not just pertaining to the Marvel movies. This is just all movies. I think that this movie in general is an A- for me. I don't think it's
pretty high.
I do. I think it still remains it's a good movie. Aside from the CGI problems we had, it's still a good movie. It's well acted. The story's decent. There's not too many gaps or things that you have to suspend the disbelief.
Yes.
So I still put it as like an A-. It's not a. I could probably go B+. But again, this is my first viewing. We'll see if my tune changes a little later on. Do you guys think that this was better than the first film?
No.
I don't know. I agree.
I don't even and I hate to be that, but and I know this is a serious movie and all that, but Black Panther 1 fucking slapped.
Well, no, it was exciting. It was a good.
So it's just it didn't even come close to me for that Black Panther 1. That movie was fucking.
And this is just like dope. I said in the in my spoiler for review. Just because I cried numerous times doesn't make that a better movie.
Right.
This is. Did it make me emotional?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, it made me emotional. But
I like Namor, but he was no fucking Killmonger.
No, you know absolutely not. But no, yeah, it's still the number 2 spot. So.
Yeah.
That's all we got to say about Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Yes.
We're gonna move on to our read, play, watch.
Yep.
So the thing that I have read recently is the brand new comic Riddler.
Hell yeah! How was it?
I enjoyed it very much.
Did you? I've already committed. I'm just gonna wait for the book.
Yeah.
So I am very, very excited.
So this was really cool. It is the origin story of Riddler from the Matt Reeves Batman universe.
Paul Dano
is a
really
writer
cool.
on this, and it is it's very interesting. The art is very dark in it. The story is decent. You get, like I said, it's an origin story of the Riddler and how he's becoming who he is. He doesn't quite encounter Batman in this, but because this is the early years of Batman as well. Mm-hmm. So you're getting to see everything unfold, and it's a really cool story, and I can't wait to see where it goes. But
cool.
You guys can pick that up. New issues come out once a month, and DC's on Tuesdays. Come hit me up. I'll be at Amazing Fantasy on Tuesdays.
My play, I actually recently finally got a new graphics card for my PC. And a bonus that came along with it was Marvel's Spider-Man, which is a game that I wanted to rebuy anyways, but it came with the new graphics card, and so I've been playing that. So I've talked about it before. It's not a new game or anything, but it's so good. It's Arkham. It's Arkham for Spider-Man. It's
nice.
The characterization and characters of the Spider-Man world and Peter Parker in that game are unrivaled. They hit it on the fucking head. The voice acting, the characters are amazing. It's just one of those. It's like you play Arkham and you're like, holy shit, this is Batman. You play that, you're like, this is fucking Spider-Man. It's awesome. I can't recommend it enough. So that's what I've been playing on Twitch, and I will keep playing it because that streams pretty well, which is awesome. Where
can people download that? Or
Steam, you can find it on Steam, but it is also a PlayStation game. It's not on Xbox. I don't think it is released for Xbox yet, and I don't think it probably ever will. It'll be a long time before that kind of deal gets worked out.
Spider-Man's a Sony thing, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a big just PlayStation only, and now they're going into PC. Spider-Man's been out for fucking 3-4 years now. Okay. And it just came to PC. Miles Morales is just coming to PC later this month. So it's fairly new, but the story just hits just as hard. It's a fantastic kind of interpretation of Spider-Man and giving you a lot of characters a new look and a very modern feel. Like Joe Janison kind of just runs almost like a podcast, so to say. Okay. Where he's just fucking conspiracy theorist, tearing people up, that kind of shit. He's not writing the paper. He's fucking moved on. Kind of like No Way Home. Long story short, playing Marvel Spider-Man, it's fucking awesome. If you've not played it, check it out because it's a great Spider-Man story.
Cool. My watch. So I watched something that we've talked about fairly recently. I have 2 watches. One of them is an older movie, came out in 95. I finally watched for the first time Heat.
Did you like it?
I didn't.
Really? You're fucking crazy.
And
I love that movie.
Okay, so I really liked the heist shit. I felt like there was too many characters in this.
The diner scene, bro?
Oh, the diner scene's amazing. The heist scene, the diner scene are fucking amazing.
Baseballs and barbecues.
So the problem I have with this movie is that it seemed like there was too many characters in this movie, and it seemed like it got to a point where De Niro is like, or it could be vice versa, but De Niro was like, "Hey, this is my movie. Write me some more shit, and fuck those other people." But it also seemed like Pacino was like, "Hey, this is my movie. Write some more shit for me and fuck these other people." So it got turned into their movies versus like, I feel like this movie dropped where The Town picked up. And I was like, because if I had to pick a heist movie to watch, I'm watching The Town every time.
I think this is the thing, too, about Heat, too. Yeah, I mean, but The Town is like, you go and watch The Town now after you've seen Heat, and you're like, oh, that's where they got the idea for that scene. Oh, that's why they wear that costume. That's why they wear hockey
I did find
masks.
a few.
There's
I did find a few
of like
things, yes.
that kind of shit. Like any heist movie you see from now on, now that you've seen Heat, you're gonna be like, Heat's the guy. That's what makes Heat so important. It's like the Heat walked so fucking The Town could run. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like that was the big like drama heist movie that wasn't just like, hey, we're robbing banks and then shooting out and Reservoir Dog style. You know, like this is a true story. And you got to think like a lot of people are like, well, fucking Val Kilmer has like 3 lines in that movie. It's like Val Kilmer wasn't that big when he did that movie. You know, it's like a lot of the big stars weren't huge people at that time.
Because there are tons of
like
William
Al Pacino,
Fichtner's
correct?
in it.
Al Pacino and De Niro were the big 2 dudes they got, and everyone else is just kind of young Hollywood that now we see them as like, oh, well, fucking Kilmer went on to play Batman. It's like, you know what I mean? But back then, he was a 20-year-old fucking kid.
I feel like, I just feel like they put so many characters in it that I was like, okay, man,
there's a lot of characters.
Now I'm going to invest my time into this guy. But I was like, oh, no, I'm not. I'm not getting any time with this guy. And I was like, oh, okay, Danny Trejo, what's going on with him? I don't know. He just fucking, this happened to him, and then he's in like 3 scenes in the movie. And I'm like, okay, well, why'd you even show me these characters? Like, well, John Voight. Like, I'm like, what's going on here? Okay, well, this is cool. William Fichtner. Oh, okay, cool. You don't get much time with many characters outside of De Niro and Pacino. And I get it that they are the ones that we should be watching, but I felt like I was overwhelmed with the amount of characters. Maybe a second watch for me might be something different, which I think I will give time, but I will watch this movie again for sure. Because I didn't hate this movie.
Yeah.
I was like, man,
I'm a
I
big
expected,
guy, so
I expect a little more. And the other thing I watched is Wendell and Wild.
How was it?
I enjoyed it.
I haven't watched it yet.
The girls and I watched it, and it was a slightly too dark for them, but not as dark as Coraline. It was easier for them to understand opposed to Coraline, and I would rather watch Wendell and Wild versus Coraline as well. It was a little too long, but we all enjoyed it. The fucking style is incredible, dude.
Yeah, that's
like
what I figured.
Henry Selick for this movie really pushed the limits of when you're watching it, you're like, damn, is that animated or is that a stop motion?
Yeah,
and it's all stop motion. So you're like, fuck, in a way, you're like, is that good? Is it a good thing that he does stop motion so well that you're like, man, is it animated? Or do you think that loses some of the charm? Is what I'm thinking when I'm watching it. But I'm like, no, I think he does it. I think it still has a charm. The motherfucker's so good at it, it looks like it's animated. So I enjoyed it. I do recommend it. Probably not let kids younger than 5 watch it. Zosha watched it, but yeah, there's a human on human death kill that happens, and I was like, oh shit. But yeah, Wendell and Wild. Check it out.
I finally watched The Boys.
Oh, all 3 seasons.
Yeah.
How'd you like it?
Oh, I fucking loved it. So and I loved season 1, so I knew I was gonna like 2 and 3. But it's just that's one of the few shows I felt like each season has gotten better for me. And it's just, I mean, again, we could do a fucking episode on The Boys now. 'Cause it's just like, that shit's my cup of tea. And I'm glad I actually waited on it, because, like, I got to watch it when I wanted to. And, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I was just able to kind of just decide, like, okay, I'm now getting into The Boys, like, kind of shut the world off, and I watched it in, like, 2 fucking days. Like,
Homelander's so fucking dope. Anthony Starr, who plays him.
Homelander's amazing. Butcher's fucking amazing. Yeah. There's so many great acting, like, performances going on, and I think it's some of the best writing in TV at the moment. The comments that they're making, not only, like, on social America, on shit that's actually going on in our actual everyday lives, but taking that, and then if you're a comic book lover, to see all the shit that they are just taking parodies of, or they're taking situations that happen in comic books, or things like fucking Black Noir being a fucking So spoiler, shut this shit off if you don't want to hear this, but I'm talking about it right now. But like Black Noir being allergic to fucking peanuts is so funny. It's like one of the most badass characters has a nut allergy. It's like Superman being allergic to a rock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like nuances like that. They take that and don't throw it in your face, but like you watch enough of the shit, you pick up on it, and it's just like this show's on another fucking level of like creative genius fucking writing. And all the characters are fucking amazing. They're all stereotype, true characters, but like they just bring the fucking juice all the time. It's I love it, man.
Do you have a favorite character by chance?
Yeah, I really love I like Homelander.
Yeah, Homelander's
he's
awesome.
just like the worst bad guy in the world. He's a terrible.
He plays
it
so
person.
fucking good.
You know what I mean? He's just like
when that suicide person is like
he's
that
just
so
fucking
good.
terrible, dude. And like I do love Butcher though too. Like I love the two main guys of the show. Like I can't get enough of each of them because Butcher is such a fucking piece of shit. Homelander's such a piece of shit. But they both have weird redeeming moments in their own like weird fucked up ways. Mm-hmm. It's awesome. It's awesome. I can't wait for next season.
I really enjoy Frenchie. Whenever Frenchie's
amazing. That's the thing.
I fucking love Frenchie.
All of them
and so
really bring a lot to the table.
I fucking loved when Starlight's like, keep your shit up. I'm going to release the fucking video. And he's like,
go ahead.
Fucking do it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, he's insane.
He's so chilly.
And then fucking Soldier Boy just hilarious. He's just like the perfect blend of like the Punisher meets fucking Captain America meets like a little bit of fucking, I can't think who else I made the comparison to, but it's just a perfect blend of like three different characters where it's like, God damn. Winter Soldier. He's like a Winter Soldier type effect on him. But like the way he says his lines, he's just like so fucking, he's so funny. He's just, he's so convincing and sells that like quit being a pussy. Like he's just hilarious. It's a real good thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah,
so.
I recommend it to people.
Yeah,
if you guys have not watched it, really check out The Boys. If you can get through the first season, you're gonna love.
I agree.
The second,
I think the first
season.
Season's like the slow, like the harder season to get through, and it's their first season's
and
good
it's still
too,
good. Yeah, absolutely.
But it is the harder one to get through because it's so much exposition. They have to really set a lot of bullshit up so you kind of understand who these people are, so they can kind of just let them get into shit.
Yeah, this is written by Robert Kirkman, the guy who made The Walking Dead. Yeah. Very, very good.
Produced by Seth Rogen.
Yes. That's all we got for our replay watch. Tyler's going to let you guys know what we got going on for the next episode and when it's coming out.
Next episode, Wednesday, November 23rd. Some would say this is going to be our Thanksgiving kind of themed episode. We're going to do a movie Matty's never even seen.
I'm so excited for this too.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah.
John Candy, Steve Martin.
It's been on the list for a while.
It's an older movie. It's one of my it's one of those movies where I didn't see this naturally as a thing. It's one of those things like everyone in my family loves this movie. It gets shown at like holidays sometimes and things. Yeah. So it's like one of those things I didn't have a choice. I just grew up on this movie. Mm-hmm. I love this fucking movie. I think it's hilarious. So it'll be fun to sit with Matty and see if he fucking hates this movie or laughs as well. So
yeah, we're gonna do kind of like what we did for Prey. We're gonna sit down. We're gonna watch this movie together. And then we're going to come right into this room.
Yeah, because since Matty's never seen it, it's just going to be funny to kind of get a real gut reaction of like his first reaction. And we'll come in here. Since it's a comedy and not the most, if you've seen the movie, you know it's not the most complex plot in the world. It's very ABC of what goes on, where we're just going to kind of relive the funny moments and kind of talk through the movie and see how it all goes.
Yeah. I'm so looking forward.
But again, that will be Wednesday, November 23rd. So it'll be a midweek release right before Thanksgiving.
Hell yeah. Something to enjoy for the holidays. Until then, you guys can listen to us and watch us elsewhere. And Sam's going to let you know where it can.
Same old. You can find us on YouTube at No Nerds Were Harmed. Come hang out with us on Facebook and Twitter. Sometimes we like to throw up some polls or some opinions on there. Let us know what kind of nerd you want to see, as well as we'll put some extra information on things we talk about during Nerd News. For our personal, that's at NNWH Pod. But for our personal Twitters, you can find Matty at TheMatman22. Tyler is Gambit the Goon. His Twitch is also the same handle. And I am Samwise1227. If you're already listening to us on something, awesome. Thank you so much. Please tell your friends, family, whoever's interested. Holidays are coming up. You're going to be standing in lines. You're going to be, maybe tomorrow, you're getting some last minute shit on the way to your family's house. Turn around and be like, you know what I'm thankful for? No nerds were harmed. They really make my day, man. Spread it. Spread the love.
Yeah, that was great. That's all we got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the episode because we enjoyed making it for you. So until next time, stay nerdy. I'm Matty.
I'm Tyler. Catch you on the next one.